People have been utilizing these drugs for a while. I don't think they were FDA approved for weight loss.
Almost without exception, every patient we've put on this drug has lost muscle mass, and they have lost it at a rate that alarms me.
Will you have to use this for the rest of your life? Are you prepared for that? Is that something you want to do?
47% of Americans have said they would be willing to take, they want to take these drugs.
Trend. We know how effective. It's S-level effectiveness. And Mark, how much Tren have you taken?
I've taken some Tren, yep. Mm-hmm.
Was that when you were your strongest?
I ended up liking other drugs for strength more so than Tren.
How'd you feel? Did you feel any negative things?
Felt awesome.
What have you seen it do to people that you know?
For some reason, it can make you cough. You can't get rid of it because there's nothing in your throat.
And no one knows what that is?
No one knows what that is.
S-tier danger, baby.
We should just order some pizza. Right?
We're in shape enough for it. Why the fuck not?
We can afford it, right?
Yeah. Physically, yes. And financially, but physically, yes.
Yeah.
Some of these motherfuckers can't afford pizza physically. Pizza shouldn't
we
even
could
be
eat
on your
pizza
radar.
and shame everybody. Talk about how shitty their diets are and how they need to get back on track.
Oh, man, but people see you eating pizza one day, they think you eat pizza all the time.
I know. I love pizza, though. It's a tough one, you know? It's a tough one to let go of for a lot of people.
That's the thing. You don't have to let go of pizza forever. You just can't have it every day. You just can't have it.
I love it every day.
But you don't understand. I need it every day.
You don't have to not eat cereal forever. You just can't eat it every day. You should probably actually just stop eating sugary cereal. Go get yourself some Magic Spoon. I'm not even sponsored by them, but Magic Spoon's good. You know?
Cereal?
You're not a cereal fan?
No, I mean, just get rid of it. You know, just get rid of it.
I agree.
And like, I guess if you really feel like you need to eat a box of it every once in a while, then I guess go for it. But
Nah, dog, that's dangerous. If you eat a box of cereal, the next day you're eating another like half box of cereal. It doesn't just start with one box, I'm done.
Yeah.
You get that craving for that shit. You know what I mean? It's not good.
I think Andrew's pretty lucky, but Andrew doesn't love Ben & Jerry's the way that you and I love Ben & Jerry's.
No.
Yo.
Because like years ago when I got real deep into Ben & Jerry's, it was always like, oh, should I pick this one or this one? Then it just became, I might as well get like 2 or 3 of these.
Just eat some of that and eat some of that one. And
I'm like, I'm going to put them back in the freezer, and none of them really ever made it back to the freezer.
Oh, dude.
It's a lot of calories.
Doesn't it feel great though to be past that? Like, I mean, like, don't get me wrong. I love Ben & Jerry's, and if I fucking started eating that, man, I'd gain some weight.
I'm past it. Like I literally past it. But like it took a long time.
Yeah,
it took many years for me to like get past the path of destruction.
Yes.
Because I mean, I would just be clearing shit out.
Path of destruction.
Oh my God, it was terrible.
That's awesome. I used to like cereal. That was my thing. Like I had to always have cereal. One of my favorite things to do was to walk down the cereal aisle and be like, what are we going to get today?
That's exciting.
And it's like, I already have like 3 at home, but like, hey, now that I have those 3 like staples at home, let's get a little frisky and try something new. But yeah, I haven't had anything off plan in a long time now. Really, I'm feeling pretty good.
You pretty much have Ozempic brain without having to take Ozempic. Right? All of us kind of have Ozempic brain without taking Ozempic, because what does Ozempic do to people? It makes them not want to eat it literally makes them not want to eat as much, right? And we still want to eat, but we usually make really good choices for our food, right? And I mean, I find that I don't eat I don't have the cravings I used to have because I don't eat the food that causes the cravings.
I had a question for you. Why are you loading up on joy mode, dude, before you podcast with us bros?
Because I just want to fuck you guys. Oh, okay. That's just like, that's it, dog.
I've been dying for
I'm really nervous.
No. Dude, I love the blood flow shit, man.
Okay.
Because like, I'm going to go get a lift in after this, and I like using
Shit's
it like...
going to be throbbing while you're training.
Man, I get all veined up. You know what I mean? So it's great. I love using this.
I wasn't ready.
Fucking weird.
Plus, Sam's going to still be home by the time I get home. So why not? Just in case.
Why are you chasing me around the house?
Just in case. But yeah.
Yeah. You know, I think for a lot of people, there's a lot of, they call it food noise. You know, there's just like this extra noise in the background that's always playing to, you know, tell you to go eat. You know, go eat this, go eat that. And when you, unfortunately, when you've fallen into some bad habits, it takes a really long time to get yourself out of those habits. I know for myself, like I'll still eat junk food. I'll still eat. I'll still have ice cream. I'll still have pizza. I'll still do this and that. But it's like, I guess it's like just set up in a completely different way. Maybe years ago, like I might stop at like a convenience store and get like a Snickers bar, a couple of peanut butter cups, ice cream. And then on top of that, I might have even ordered pizza, nice. Or I might like roll through some fast food or something. And it would just be like this real gluttonous thing. And I could justify it in my head because I'm like, oh, it's just this like, it's just a few hours of like junk food, but really looking back at it, it was like, it was just a lot, just a bomb on your stomach too, and a bomb on the toilet the next day. And it was just brutal. But like, so what would happen though, by doing that, you think that you would be like, oh, I got that out of my system.
Yeah.
And all that did was keep me connected to it. All it did was keep me like, because that felt good to do that. Felt good to have the ice cream, felt good to have the pizza, especially if you're eating pretty good for a handful of days. You're eating good for 5, 6, 7 days. And when you're, when you're kind of new to getting into these diets, when you first start to lose some weight, you knock off 10 pounds, 20 pounds, 30 pounds, it actually doesn't get any easier. It actually kind of gets harder. The diet gets easier in a sense that like you understand like the rhythm of it, and you understand like what's good for you. You learn how to cook. And so all those things become a lot easier. But for each time you're losing weight, it seems to have a level of difficulty that's just a little bit more. Like it's easy to lose weight when you have so much weight to lose. But as you lose more and more and you have less weight to lose, it gets to be a little bit more challenging, and you got to be like more on point with it. And that's when I decided, I was like, I need to like, I'm still lying to myself. These cheat meals are really cheat days, and they're not even cheat days. They're like cheat weekends. And then sometimes I'll slip up during the week, and I'm like, there's really no point in what's the point of a cheat meal? The point of a cheat meal would be that you're pretty diligent, and then you need to cheat on your diet because you were so diligent and you were probably restricted. And then I was just like, you know what? Let's just try to have a plan where there's really no restriction. So there's no cheat day anymore. There's no cheat meal. There is no cheating. If you decide to eat some junk food, then you just decided to eat some junk food. Just, for me, it was kind of like a reframing. And let's just do that way less than we normally do. And then it started to happen like maybe I'd have like a cheat or something slightly off plan every 3 days, every 5 days, every 10 days. And then it started turning into like longer and longer stretches. But it took a long time, man.
It does. And the mindset shift takes a long time. But one of the biggest things about this idea of like, cheat meals or cheat days is like when we're talking about these drugs that a lot of people take. And we have this post from Mike Israetel. And what we're going to be getting into today is a tier list of an effectiveness of some of the most popular drugs to help people lose fat or gain muscle. The dangers, but then asking the question like, understanding like, are these things cheating? Because like when the amount of people that are using Ozempic to kind of, instead of reframing that all the reframing that you did, that took a long time. You had to reframe the way you looked at food. There's all this stuff that took a long time so that you can now get to a place where you don't need anything to make you stay in shape. You just have really good habits. When a drug can kind of just do that for you, is it cheating? Does it like who? That's a question. But on this post with Mike Israetel, he posted his wife, and the post reads, "My wife, Dr. Christie, was able to keep 45 pounds of lost weight off for years and counting for the first time in her life because of I think the drug company's Ozempic. The new weight loss drug should be used intelligently with the guide of a doctor and in combination with a smart diet, RP's Diet Coach app in her case, and work out with RP Strength for hypertrophy and BJJ in her case. But they work and are amazing. And I can't wait for further biotech advances along this path. If you're anti-drug, I hear you, but give it some time and more thought. Maybe you'll change your mind on the margins. And if not, no big deal. Freedom means we don't have to approve 100% of what others do, but we can still be okay with them doing it." Right?
I thought that was a great post. I thought it was super interesting. I thought that it was great for him to be like open about that.
Yeah.
Because Mike is always talking about his app and how effective it is and stuff. And he could easily just not ever mention that. and he can be like, look at us, we both look great. And he could just, you see some people do stuff like that. And I think it's great that he not only is coming out and sharing that, but he's also saying, hey, maybe it might be a good idea for some people to look at this maybe a little differently than the way that they were looking at it previously. I think some people are viewing it as like cheating. Some people are viewing it as like a shortcut, and that's fair. Like maybe you're entitled to that opinion. Everyone's has their own opinion on these different things. But I do think it's smart to also look at it as like, this is a technology. This is something that's probably here. Like you can get as mad as you want about Snapchat or ChatGPT or the different things that are going on Instagram or the internet, and you can kind of sound like an old person, or you can kind of just get with it and say, I think these things are here, and you can kind of like either kind of do your own thing, or you can just I guess get with it. Either get with it or get out of the way.
So we do have multiple drugs that we're going to talk about today, but let's pull up the tier list real quick and just place Ozempic, because we have 2 tier lists. One for the effectiveness of the drug, and then one for the potential danger of the drug. So let's pull up both tier lists real quick. Is this one
This is effectiveness.
Effectiveness. So, I mean, Ozempic's super effective. I mean, all these people are just...
Yeah, it seems like it's working really well for a lot of people.
Right and left. Everyone's losing weight.
I do want to say, some of my understanding of some of this, we had Vigorous Steve and we had a couple other people on the podcast to talk about these different types of drugs. There's many different types of things. Ozempic is just like one of the big brands that everyone sort of references. But also these things have been around for a while now. They've been around for, I think, around 15 years, maybe even a little bit longer. And so people have been utilizing these drugs for a while. It's just, I don't think they were approved. I don't think they were FDA approved for weight loss. And I think that's been the biggest change, is that they were approved as like a effective way for people to lose weight. And so now you're seeing that get administered more. And normally, people just used to go to like a doctor for something. But nowadays, because there's more and more TRT clinics, you're seeing people get these things prescribed via TRT clinic. And now there's so much debate on who should use it, who shouldn't. And you're like, oh, well, of course, if someone's 400 pounds, 500 pounds, it seems like their body weight has plagued them for many years, and they want to get to a better place. They want to be in a better spot. But also, I think we all know some people that are maybe 40, 50 pounds, 30 pounds heavier than they'd like to be. And they're just looking to like lose a reasonable amount of weight. And they've been doing a lot of stuff. They can't quite seem to figure it out and get in maybe the shape that they want. And so, we end up with this weird kind of moral position of, it's okay for this person over here to take it, but it's not okay for this other person. And I don't really know what's true on that. I would just say, I think that these drugs are a new technology. I do agree with Mike. And I think that if somebody's considering it, they should research it. They should try to talk to somebody that knows a ton about it. Hopefully they know like a doctor or somebody that has experience prescribing these drugs. And then they can make an educated decision on if they're going to use them. One thing I think that's amazing to consider whenever we talk about any of the drugs that we're going to talk about here on the show today is the thing that I always like to say is, and then what? So you did this, and then now what are we going to do from here? You know this really well from dieting, for bodybuilding. It's like some guys will just pull 1,500 calories away out of nowhere, and you're like, okay, but what do we? We don't have any room to really do anything from there. And so these different drugs, Trenbolone and all these different weight loss drugs and stuff, you're going to take them, and then how long are you going to take them for? Beyond the rest of your life. What's that going to look like?
I think that's the question that we're going to be asking with every single thing that we talk about today. And then what? Because when I think about Ozempic, I have no judgment towards anyone who chooses to go that route, because for many people, weight loss, for maybe Dr. Christie, weight loss has been a difficult thing for her. Maybe just more difficult for reasons maybe that we don't know. Some people have thyroid issues. Some people have issues that we just do not understand, right? And that's been super helpful for her. But for a lot of people, one of those things is we know that if people are able to change their habits, the way they mentally handle food, their daily habits, their expenditure. We know that if one can make those adjustments, they can drop weight and they can keep it off for the rest of their life. But we also know that if you use something for that and it's not a problem, it's one of those things where, like you mentioned, will you have to use this for the rest of your life? Are you prepared for that? Is that something you want to do? Long term, is that the safest thing to do? Because, I mean, there's some videos we're going to be pulling up about Ozempic. It doesn't come without its own potential drawbacks. It doesn't come without its own, risks. And those risks are things that you need to come to terms with. There are people who have gotten pancreatic issues. There are people who have lost massive amounts of muscle. It's one of those things where, do you want to do this, or do you want to use it while at the same time trying to build good habits so it's not something you have to use for the rest of your life? Because I think for people who are really overweight, it truly is a magic pill or pin. I'm not sure if it's a pill yet. But
it's not a pill quite yet, I don't think.
But it is an amazing thing. But it's one of those things where as you use it, you definitely need to try to change those habits, Yeah,
I just remember for ever, it seems like people were waiting for this miracle drug, right? Oh, it's going to be so amazing when you can just take something and you start losing weight. And all of a sudden this comes out and it seems like, we finally have it. This is going to help so many people. So I think as of right now, for effectiveness, we're going to rank this really, really high.
S, baby.
In, who knows, 10 years, 5 years, 3 years? Maybe we'll look back and be like, dude, that was terrible. I can't believe they were doing that. Look at what they have now.
Oh, absolutely.
You know what I mean? That
happened a bunch of times already with a bunch of other fat loss drugs and things that they've used in the past. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. So again, the effectiveness is going to be high. The dangers, I don't know if high means good or bad, but that's going to be on the
effectiveness. High means, it doesn't, just because it's effective doesn't mean it's great. We're going to get to trend. For effective doesn't mean it's great, but it's effective for what it's marketed to do, which it's marketed to help you lose weight, and it's effective for that.
Okay, and then we have the other side of things, and this is the danger side.
We should pull up that video.
Okay.
Yeah, pull up a video of what? Peter Attia?
There's a video we have of Peter Attia, yeah. And then another video we have of a person who actually used Ozempic, but yeah, let's play this.
A person. Okay, let's see. Hopefully I didn't fuck anything up. 1 second. Okay.
Improved glycemic control in both regards. What could be wrong with it? I'll tell you what's wrong with it. Okay. Almost without exception, every patient we've put on this drug has lost muscle mass, and they have lost it at a rate that alarms me. So it's not uncommon if you weigh 200 pounds and you go down to 180 pounds that you're going to lose some muscle, some fat. But let's be clear. If you lost 10 pounds of muscle and 10 pounds of fat to go from 180 to 200, would that be good? Well, only if you were more than 50% body fat at the outset. Otherwise, you've disproportionately lost muscle to fat. In fact, you've gotten fatter as you've lost weight. That's not what we want. And yet that's what we're seeing happen over and over and over again. So much so that in our practice now, we've basically drawn a line in the sand and said to patients, if we have exhausted all other dietary options and we're going to really consider using Ozempic, you must have a DEXA scan first, and we must have really clear guidelines for what's happening. Furthermore, we work closely with patients to make sure that if they're on these drugs, that they understand that their protein requirements do not change.
All right. Yeah. So, that's one thing.
Mm-hmm. Well, and this is a doctor that, Peter Attia works with a lot of people, and he's been around for a long time. And so people might say, oh, well, maybe he's being too dramatic about it. Maybe people could hold on to their muscle mass if they ate their protein, as he mentioned there, and if they lift. But Peter Attia knows about lifting, and he knows about taking in protein. So maybe in his case, maybe he was still seeing people lose muscle mass regardless of if they lifted and if they had their protein.
Yeah. And then there's one more video. I sent it to you, Andrew. The timestamp is there.
So I think you said in the beginning, and then we'll skip to about 4 minutes in.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Let's play this bad boy.
To take it. Because as we discuss this now, say that there's, 1 million, 10 million people that listen. What percentage of those people on average would go, do you know what? That sounds like the thing I've been looking for.
If they're Americans and the polling is right, 47% of Americans have said they would be willing to they want to take these drugs, actively want to.
Oh, they want to. So about 50% of the audience will be actively wanting to take it as we sit here now.
Yeah.
And now tell me,
Just like Americans don't want a shortcut to everything. I'm joking. I'm joking.
Are we going to skip to a little further in?
Yeah.
Let's go here.
I interviewed a woman called Michelle Stesniak, who's in Myrtle Beach in North Carolina. She started taking these drugs, and her doctor said to her, there's a few side effects. One of them is pancreatitis. And she said, God, no, my luck, I'll probably get it. She starts taking it, was really happy with the weight loss. 6 weeks later, she went to Pittsburgh to visit her daughter. She woke up in the worst agony she's ever been in. She had this excruciating pain running all from below her breast around to her back. She was vomiting. She was shitting herself. She was screaming in pain. And her son-in-law phoned for an ambulance. He thought she was about to die. She was in such a state of distress. She arrives at the hospital and they discovered something gone really wrong with her pancreas. They said, are you a heavy drinker? She said, no. Then they said, are you taking Ozempic? And it's kind of revealing that was the second question they asked. So we know that if you take Ozempic, there's a study by the University of British Columbia that found it increases your risk of pancreatitis by a factor of 9. So you're 9 times more likely to get it. It's still rare. You're very unlikely to get pancreatitis. Even when you times it by 9, it's still a very rare outcome. Right. But, doctors...
Wild.
That podcast with, I haven't listened to the whole thing, but he goes into more risks and positives of Ozempic. And he, I think you mentioned it, he lost 40 pounds with it.
Yeah, and I think he's been on Chris Williamson's podcast as well. So you guys might want to look into checking some of that stuff out. Really good information. All these drugs, they're going to have their drawbacks. That's going to, and what it does to one person is going to be way different than what it does to another. I do think there's enough information, though, for you to scan the internet and for you to check things out and to really learn what's going to be in your best interest. Is this going to be something that you should really try? Have you been honest with yourself about your diet and your habits? Or has that just been something that has been really difficult? I do know there are some people who have said that they can think more clearly when they're on Ozempic. So I think that a lot of times when we're talking about like weight loss, we're talking to many different types of people. And in some cases, we're talking to people that are very much addicted to food and they have a very hard time implementing the habits that are recommended so often by people in the fitness industry. And I think that they just have this constant calling to eat, and they can't get past it. They can't get through it. They can't get over it. Yeah. I think about like my dog, like every time I have food, the dog's so excited. I think about even myself, like I'm super excited around food. I'm fired up to eat all the time. And it's something I had to like learn to control, but I also can't imagine what it would be like if I couldn't get it under control or if it got worse. I did get up to 330 pounds and I could have kept going. I could have turned that into being probably even heavier and even in worse shape. Mm-hmm. And maybe that was a hole that I wouldn't have been able to dig myself out of if I kept going that way. And so I'm very empathetic to it. And I think that if people can have something to shut that down a little bit or dampen some of that noise, that might be a really good idea for them to at least look into some of these types of drugs.
Agreed. All right. So are we ranking the danger?
Yeah. Yeah.
So we have SAB, CF. Mm-hmm. All right. I would honestly, I would put it at I would put it right in the middle in terms of B danger. Mm-hmm. Because this is me, we all have to vote on this. Mm-hmm. The reason why I'm putting it at B is because it's not without its risks. I personally do think that a majority of people that are going to be taking this drug aren't going to be taking it responsibly. Mm-hmm. Let's think about it. Most people aren't going to build the habit of lifting weights along with Ozempic. Mm-hmm. Most people aren't going to build the habit of learning their nutrition, so they eat more protein while taking Ozempic. It's one of those things where I think, if people are doctors already give suggestions on certain things to do and people don't follow those suggestions. Mm-hmm. So if now the doctor's like, let me give you this weight loss drug and I suggest you do this, it's one of those things where a lot of people are still probably going to drink. They're going to have a lot of these same habits. Now they have a drug on top of it that's helping them lose weight. I'd put it around B or even A. Mm-hmm. What do you guys think?
Yeah, I think it can be pretty dangerous because I think that if people aren't getting the results that they want, maybe their friend is doing it too, and their friend is losing more weight, and now they're going to take, the doctor said to take this amount, now they're taking a little bit more and stuff like that. And so I think it can be pretty dangerous. So I think people need to be very, very cautious with it. I'd put it in the same category that you did.
Mm-hmm. All right. Yeah, I think even though you said it's been around for potentially like 15 years, I just think we don't have enough exposure to it to really know exactly to what extent, like how dangerous it actually can be.
For mass population. Yeah.
Right? Yeah. So, yeah, I don't know. A or B for me. I think we can leave it at B for right now because I think after everything we said, if somebody is significantly overweight, I think we would all be like, yeah, this is probably going to help you more than it's not. So right in the middle, I think is fair.
Yeah, and I've heard like Lane Norton and a couple other people talk about this idea or this principle of like shoot the closest alligator to the boat. What's the most dangerous thing facing Americans today? Well, we eat too much. Mm-hmm. And so if we go from top tier down from there and say, well, what are some things that can help people eat less? And we know a lot of the answers: exercise, sleep, sunlight, protein leveraging. These are all things that can help kind of soothe you and calm down and help you control maybe some of those hunger signals. But if you've done some of those things already and you need further help, then you might need to look into some of these drugs.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I just remember how eye-opening it was for me because, right, like I know people that want to lose weight, but it's not the one thing like, if somebody's obese, right, you can't avoid it, right? Everybody knows it, it. It's the one thing that's probably always on your mind. So when I speak to somebody that has a couple pounds to lose and it's like, oh, how's the diet going? Or nobody, I wouldn't say that, but they would just tell me like, oh yeah, kind of fell off again or whatever. But I remember speaking to somebody that was significantly overweight. And the conversation was like, yeah, I almost had a good day yesterday. Like, what do you mean? He's like, oh, like I stuck to the plan except for like a couple meals. And I'm like, you couldn't get through one day. And I just remember thinking like, dude, I'm an asshole for thinking like a week was easy. You know what I mean? And it was just like super eye-opening to see that side of it. Yes.
Yeah, perspective, yeah.
And I was just blown away. So the fact that this could maybe clear out some of that noise, man, yeah, I could definitely see why that would be that would clear the mind and like help productivity and help just the clear thinking and stuff. Because, yeah, like I said, I was just like, oh shoot, I have no idea what I'm talking about. It's wild.
Yeah, there's some people that there's food all around all of us, right? I think all of us might see it a little differently. So some of the people that are struggling with it,
just say no.
They're having exactly. They're having a hell of a time, getting out of Costco or, and they used to say like shop the perimeter of the store. It's like, well, good luck with that now because the store has gotten smart to you shopping around the perimeter of the store and there's a bunch of shitty food there too for you.
Meat. It's time to gobble some meat. Good Life Proteins. And all jokes aside, Good Life Proteins is an amazing spot to be able to get your Piedmontese beef that has amazing ratios of protein and fat. So you get more protein and a little bit less fat for every single cut of steak. But they also have fish, they have lobster, they have picanha, which is beef. They have so many different types of meat, so you can pretty much move forward on your diet, get in better shape, take advantage of the things that we talk about here on the podcast in terms of protein leveraging, carnivore, if that's your business, keto, if that's your business. But you can all different types of meat to move you forward, and everything is the highest quality from Good Life Proteins. Andrew, how can they get it?
Yes, that's over at goodlifeproteins.com, and at checkout, enter promo code POWER to save 20% off your entire order. Or if you want to save even more, use promo code POWERPROJECT to save an additional 5% off your Build a Box. Again, goodlifeproteins.com. Link is in the description as well as the podcast show notes. All righty. So moving on.
Yeah.
Moving on.
Just go right up to this next one.
Adderall?
Addies.
Andrew, have you used Adderall?
Yeah.
What did you find with it?
I didn't notice a damn thing.
Really?
I didn't notice anything.
I know a lot of, I've never used Adderall, but I know a lot of people who do. They love that shit for focus.
Yeah, I was upset. Maybe I need to take more. I don't know. I've only taken it a handful of times. No, I didn't notice anything, but yes, I do hear from many people, like to the point where like they have a guy they go to right on a regular basis. But these are all people that weren't prescribed it through like a doctor. Mm-hmm. So I don't know what that experience would be like, but I really wanted it to work because I'm like, I can lose focus very fast. I would like to sit down and read a book one day and actually just sit there and read a book. That's never going to happen, though.
I mean, when we think about Adderall too, like for obviously mass population, people try to use for focus, but it is prescribed to people who have ADHD, like attention deficit issues, right? So for those people, it ends up being super effective and doesn't end up having as many drawbacks because of the way their brain already works, right? So
yeah, I've taken it before, but I didn't really notice much from it either.
really,
Yeah, I maybe I was expecting too much of it or something. I don't know.
Yeah, I think that was my problem.
Yeah.
But I also felt the same way on modafinil. That's supposed to be like, I don't know if it's supposed to be better, but it's an alternative. And I heard the same things about that. And I was like sitting around kind of like waiting for like a weed brownie to kick in, but it never did.
Well, and I think that can happen with people taking like Ozempic as well. I think they're thinking that it's going to do everything for them. And so many people that use Ozempic and have success with it, they still have to have good habits along with it. And I think, with a lot of these drugs, I think that, again, everyone's going to respond so differently to them. So, yeah, for me, I didn't notice any real difference. I have had modafinil before. I don't know. I feel pretty like excited and driven every day anyway. So I didn't notice. And then I think, I don't know if I've ever had ADHD. Like I was never really diagnosed with anything like that necessarily. So maybe for me, the, chemistry in my brain doesn't really need that particular drug. I don't know. But for some people, it seems like it lights them on fire.
I know a lot of people who it lights them on fire. I also know a lot of people who can't stop using it because it lights them on fire and they need it to be able to get the shit done. So it is a super effective thing because I know some people who are like high level who still use Adderall, and it's their limitless pill, but also it's like they need it now, right? You can't stop using it for you to feel that right? Yeah. That's a danger.
It's got to feel good when your brain gets connected, all the way through like that.
Right. Yeah. It's like you're unlocking that flow state on demand, and like, again, my experience, I didn't really feel anything. If somebody walked in with a handful of Adderall, I'd be like, how much? Like, because I want to try it again. You know what I mean? Like,
we are not suggesting you guys take Adderall, by the way.
But we are suggesting somebody come here and try to sell us some drugs.
Potentially, if you want to make
that
some
was a
extra
joke,
side income.
We're in Davis, California.
Oh, God. Back to the
Drop some
disclaimer
stuff
at the beginning.
You want to get banned again?
It's not hard to find our address.
Hey, by the old gym, I used to see some drops over there every once in a while. You guys ever see
drops?
Yeah, people like dropping some fucking drugs off, and then like in some random bushes and stuff like that.
Wait, seriously?
Yeah, fucking wacky.
Dude. Wow.
Yeah, weird shit going on over there.
Yeah, not a lot of foot traffic out there, so
It's
pretty safe.
Perfect spot.
Where do we want to rate this thing?
This one's
want to put an S or A? Like, I know, like your personal experience. I mean, I feel like, you know what? Let's fuck it. We don't need to put general population where we rank it. It's like, how do we feel? Because this is how we feel. Okay, not on research. It's how we feel. So, how do you guys feel? Because I think it's effective. I put that at least A because so many people love it.
You've never taken it?
I've never used Adderall. Never. This is the thing. I haven't used a lot of things because I know and I fear that I'd like it, and I know myself. So if I knew if I liked Adderall,
like
I'm using the fuck out of Adderall.
You should have made that call a long time ago with pussy. Then you wouldn't have to think about it all the time.
The problem is, shit.
People praise it, right? People seem to love it. It seems to be pretty goddamn effective.
Okay. Hey, now how do we rate its danger on our danger tier list? Where are we putting Adderall?
I'm kind of unaware. I don't know what the dangers are, but I guess you can get addicted to it. Sounds like
you can get very addicted to it.
Maybe heart rate or something.
Some people have cardio issues. It can cause psychosis in certain people with overused. But I mean, you don't really see people dying around. And a lot of people are still using it. It's like I'd put it at like maybe C. I'd put it at C Because like a lot of people use Adderall. Adderall's been for, right? And the people, Ozempic's been being used in diabetics for the longest time, but now we have mass use for people who aren't diabetic, and it's like tricky. Adderall, people that aren't prescribed Adderall have been using that for a while. Like when my sister was in college, people were using Adderall in 2006. So it's one of those things where it's like, it's dangerous, but it's like, it's not the worst thing in the world, right?
Yeah, well, I think
this doesn't mean go do Adderall, guys. Don't do it. It's addictive. You won't I'd suggest don't do it, but do what you want. But don't do it.
I would also say as well, again, there's so many places on the internet you can look to, dive into all this shit a lot more, and you can learn a lot more. And I'm sure, like, I don't know anything about Adderall, but I'm sure there's other versions of Adderall at this point. I'm sure we're on like Adderall generation, fucking 6 or something.
Go to our podcast with Andrew Chiana. Selenk is the peptide that he talks about.
Right. And then the same thing with Ozempic. Like, we kind of just use that name as a blanket statement, but there's so many other drugs that do similar things. And my understanding is there's drugs now that have less side effects. So, don't just look at something on the surface and be like, hey, I think I'm going to try this. Like, dig pretty deep and try to find out as much information as you can.
I do want to say this, and I know it's not the same situation, but people talk about their appetite getting lower and their stomachs getting smaller from Ozempic. They can't eat as much food. Same shit kind of happened when I did some long-term intermittent fasting. When we went deep down the fasting rabbit hole, I noticed I couldn't eat as much. I noticed I definitely didn't have as much of an appetite. I was using a bit more caffeine to suppress that appetite, which I'm not using as much now. But it's like some of those effects, I believe, like, you can build these habits. And I know it's different for people who are really, really overweight. Like the way they look at food, their drive. But I mean, like, again, I think we're always going to try to help people do this on their own, because we all know that people have the power to do it on their own. It's a lot of deliberate choices you have to make and a lot of change, but you have the power to make that change.
It's a skill set.
It's a skill set. You have that power, and I just don't want to take that power. I don't want to assume that people can, because I think that they can.
Some intermittent fasting can go a long way. I mean, I would have to say that, like, I don't think I could eat anywhere near the same amount as what I used to.
I could if I had some juice with that. Like, if I had some juice and some, but it would be hard to make that choice.
Yeah. The drive for me, appetite wise, just isn't there anymore.
Same.
Okay, so moving on.
Yeah.
All right, we got Anavar.
All right. You've had experience with this baby, right?
Anavar, yep. Everybody's taking some Anavar.
No, I had to check. Nope.
No.
Popular in the fitness industry. People love using that shit for fat loss. It's effective.
Gotta get some Anavar over there, Andrew.
I know, my bad.
Yeah, Anavar, it's kind of known to, like, one of the reasons why it's so popular is it's known to not have a lot of negative side effects. And in terms of it being like a steroid, it doesn't cause a lot of, like, bloating. It doesn't cause people to gain a lot of weight, as opposed to there's other oral steroids like Adderall or Dianabol. Those are really fun because they make you, like, just fucking strong, and they make you really big, but you also get really bloated and you'll turn very red. And Anavar doesn't have that same. Even if you were to try to, like, dose like a ton of Anavar, it just wouldn't. If someone's on D-ball, you can see it, like, in their face, as if they, like, drank. They went on a drinking bender.
He said they're really fun.
Oh, they are fun. Like, you could feel them. Like, it's like a it's like you get like a, I don't know, like you get like a power up. It feels like a power up. Yeah, exactly.
Oh,
That's sick.
Well, I mean, for the 5 women that are potentially listening, you use too much Anavar, you'll sound like this. So that's
oh,
a
yeah.
danger.
Yeah, it can mess with your voice.
Yeah. You see a lot of, like, powerlifting women and some, competitor women that have used quite a bit of Anavar, especially in, like, the wellness and the figure divisions. You hear them speak, that voice has gone down a few octaves. That brow ridge is a little bit up, and that hair is kind of fading away. So.
Hey, I'm digging it. I mean, anyway.
Nothing quite like that and a voice.
I like muscle mommies though, so whatever. My girl's a muscle mommy.
But as far as effectiveness, I mean, I know obviously it's effective because or else it wouldn't be so damn popular.
Yeah.
But on this scale, are we taking into account the other things that are like in the same category? You know what I mean? So like
for muscle gain, Anavar is extremely effective for people.
Okay.
I'm not saying people should take Anavar, but like that's why so many competitors use Anavar.
Yeah.
Right.
It seems to work. It seems to work great too for people that are like dialed in. You know what I mean? Like, so of course it'll have an amplified effect on someone that has a lot of other good habits, but you know, if someone's just thinking they're just going to like look better or lift a lot better just by randomly taking Anavar, they're not going to notice a lot. Mm-hmm. It's going to be pretty mild. But if you're into it quite a bit and you are pretty meticulous, it's almost more of like, this is where steroids are just so weird because like none of this really makes any sense, but it's almost like a leaner drug. So if someone's lean, or someone's like kind of skinny, they might be like, oh shit, like you could definitely tell the difference when they're on Anavar versus not on Anavar. But if your average like power lifter throws down some Anavar here and there, you're just not going to really notice much of anything.
They just add it to their Lucky Charms.
Exactly.
Yeah. And then am I wrong in thinking that like that's something that can actually be prescribed by a doctor too?
Yeah.
Right.
Anavar can be prescribed by doctors.
I'm not saying that is like the end all be all, but just like Ozempic, just like Adderall, like it can be prescribed by a doctor. Mm-hmm. Therefore, it comes with a level of safety if it's being prescribed by doctors. So
safety.
Yeah. And again, the safety stuff is like, it's so much dose related, you know, like, and again, competitors are just going to, this girl takes a little bit more than me. I got a little bit more muscle. I'm going to take a little bit more. And that's when you start to get yourself in trouble. But if you can find a reasonable dosage that gives you a little bit of benefit, you can probably get almost all the benefits with very, very little negative side effects.
Dose and duration.
I want to give a blanket statement for my opinion on all of this because honestly, I don't think any of y'all should be fucking with Anavar. Like, or a majority of the things mentioned on this list that we're talking about right now. I just want to make that clear because like, I think, I want to say because like in the fitness and bodybuilding industry, these things are so normal and the TRT, all these things are so normal, but like, it's one of those things where it's like, long term, with Anavar, liver toxicity, fucking mood shifts, your hormonal imbalances that can happen. Also, the fact that most people aren't getting blood work done consistently, so they don't know when these things are happening. They're scared of seeing what's in their bloods, and then one day something happens. We'll get to the danger tier list, but I just want to, like, as we're talking about these things, understand, like, if we say it's effective, that doesn't necessarily mean we're saying you should take it. I just want to be so clear. We're not saying take Anavar, but it's effective.
Yeah.
Well, and I would steer people clear of most steroids almost all the time. Yeah. You know, really. I mean, there are cases where there's some people where it's perfect for them. It's perfect for them, like right in the position that they're in their life. But it's a decision that they have to make on their own, and it's a decision that you know, maybe they're making with like a doctor, or they're communicating with their wife or significant other about it. Like, it's a big deal. Like, it's not just like, oh, I'm going to go blast some shit and get my arms bigger. Like, that's not really a good, it's not a very good strategy. And I do think it is always important, if you are going to take Anavar or any of these things that we mentioned, again, and then what? So like Anavar it's going to carry you to where? And then where are you going to be from there? Are you trying to get some sort of pro card, or are you getting ready for some photo shoot? That's like, if these things are that important to you and it overrides the negative side effects that may come from these things, then to each their own, right?
Yeah, I was just going to mention, like, you know, but you did say it already, but like when you do start a prep or you're with a coach or whatever, it's like kind of day one. It's like, all right, how much Anavar are you on? It's like, oh, well, here's some, or whatever it may be. And it's like, well, wait a second. Like, why do I need it? Or like question that, but also it's, oh, you need it because that's what everyone else takes or whatever. Like, or because this other person did it and they had a lot of success with it. It's like, dude, you're a completely different person. So, you know, yeah, just, oh man, that's tough, but you're right. Like, and then what for? Yeah.
So now our danger tier list.
Danger. F.
I definitely put it I put Anavar at I put it at an A. I put it at A or B. But liver toxicity, the mood changes that happen to people, virilization in women. It's one of those things where and people will tend to take a lot of it. When you think about this stuff, it's how do we see people actually take it when they get their hands on it, right? They're usually not conservative. And the not being conservative leads to a lot of issues. Anavar, I think, is also one of those things that can make your blood thicker too, right? So it's I would put it at least a B. But you know more about it than I do, but I'd put it at a B or A. What do you guys think? I leave the voting of this one to you. I say A or B.
It's a good idea in the case of most drugs to just assume that they're pretty negative. Just most of the time it's good. Whether it's caffeine, kratom, kava, whether it's testosterone, it's always good to realize that this is like a double-edged sword, and this is something that you need to be kind of cautious with. I do know a lot of females that have taken Anavar and they've noticed, and their significant others have noticed pretty substantial mood changes. And I think with some, I think I've heard of it more, coming from women that have taken Anavar. And for some people, if your mood's already kind of it might not be great for you, so you got to really consider these things. I'd say a B, I think, is probably fair.
Okay. Let's throw it at B. Yeah, the only thing I would say to the liver toxicity and that sort of thing, I don't know if it's worse than Tylenol. I don't know if that's a stupid statement, but
that's fair.
Tylenol's totally accepted, and this is, obviously totally different drug, but again, how much more toxic is it than that? Yeah,
ibuprofen and these different things. I guess, the argument, I guess, on the other side of that would be I don't know, people do abuse the fuck out of that too, so I guess that's not a fair statement. People abuse the hell out of Tylenol and all that stuff.
Yeah, but I'm torn between B and A.
I'd put it at A.
Yeah, I think so too. Yeah, because it can get pretty bad, I think. Right. All right. Clenbuterol.
Mark, you have experience with Clen, right?
Yeah, Clen is wild. I don't advise that for anybody.
So why?
Stay the fuck away from that stuff.
Why?
It's just strong, man.
Oof.
Years ago they had ephedrine on the market, and they put ephedrine in a lot of pre-workouts and stuff, and it was fucking awesome for some pre-workouts. It really did get you fired up. I mean, you'd go to the gas station and you could get a speed stack, and these things were just, oh man, they were so good. But ephedrine, was a weaker form, I believe, of clenbuterol, and clenbuterol is usually utilized for asthma. And albuterol, but clenbuterol is kind of the more of the bodybuilding one. Some people believe it has anti-catabolic activities.
I wonder, when I was 10, 9, 10, and 11, I had
finally
some
coming
asthma.
out.
And it went away. No, I had some asthma and it went away, but I don't know if I was using albuterol or clenbuterol.
But you got big as fuck.
No, I started lifting after I was taking the asthma meds at 13. Thank you very much. So I wasn't using it while I was lifting, but I wonder if
it helped.
I don't know. You think in those 3 years I got super?
It's kind of funny. Yeah, he just has this epiphany. He's like, yeah, I
Wait
did
a
go from
second.
I was using clenbuterol for years. Oh
yeah,
man.
clenbuterol. It's a crazy stimulant. So just some days a cup of coffee or something just hits you way different than normal. Or you have a cup of coffee and some espresso or something like that. I mean, this is it'll make you feel weird. It's not a very good feeling. But it can be a pretty effective fat burner, and that's why people take it.
All right. So its effectiveness, what do you want to rank it? S or A?
Seems pretty effective.
It is fairly effective, but just like everything else on this list, if you're not diligent, it doesn't really, you're not going to notice anything. So you're thinking fat burner and you're thinking I could lose some fat. It's just not going to do anything for you. You still have to be on it's not going to,
you're
not going to burn so much extra energy because you're shaky. That it's going to make you know what I mean? It's not increasing your NEAT so wildly that So it's effective. So I'd just like stick it in the middle or something. I don't think it's, bodybuilders are probably like, what? I love that drug.
Yeah. And then like once you, I don't know, like what you just described there, it kind of reminded me of like, when you take too much caffeine and you get the jitters and stuff and you feel sick. How long would something like that last?
Yeah, you're like that for a few hours.
Ugh.
Yeah, it's not a good feeling.
No.
Yeah, and I mean, the prescription for it, like, bodybuilding prescription for it
allegedly
is like you take this amount and then you take like, and they want you just to like load up. And as the competition gets closer, you're on like more and more of it. But I never got into it like that. I just utilized it here and there just to kind of see what it could do. And I was like, I don't like this shit. It just makes me feel like all like revved up all the time.
The drug side of bodybuilding is such a unique sport.
They literally want you to see how much you can handle of it.
Yeah. And
And then you also, from what I heard, you can take it with like Benadryl or something like that. It makes it more effective because your receptors get used to it and they get saturated, and the clenbuterol is less effective. Oh. Yeah, Benadryl does that with a couple other things too. I forget why, but it's like because it's an antihistamine or something.
Wow.
The lengths people go to lose fat, bro.
Chemistry.
It's wild, right?
That's
cool. It's legitimately.
It is cool.
That's exciting.
It's cool and weird and dangerous.
Yeah.
Speaking of.
And I just want to say again, because I'm going to be sprinkling this throughout the whole video, YouTube, we are not suggesting people take these drugs. This is merely for fun and chatter and education. So no, we are not wanting people to take, we don't sell these drugs, nor do we know people who sell these drugs. And
there
we're
are
not directing anybody.
Links whatsoever.
There are no links anywhere to sell any of these drugs. YouTube. Okay. Cool.
Thank you.
Yeah. Where are we ranking the danger of clenbuterol?
I think it's pretty dangerous because it's like, going to rev your heart rate up a little bit. And
yeah.
I don't like it in those terms. I think it's pretty unsafe.
S-level danger.
Yeah.
If you're someone that's taking supplements or vitamins or anything to help move the needle in terms of your health, how do you know you really need them? And the reason why I'm asking you, how do you know, is because many people don't know their levels of their testosterone, their vitamin D, all these other labs like their thyroid, and they're taking these supplements to help them function at peak performance. But that's why we've partnered with Merrick Health for such a long time now, because you can get yourself different lab panels like the Power Project panel, which is a comprehensive set of labs to help you figure out what your different levels are. And when you do figure out what your levels are, you'll be able to work with a patient care coordinator that will give you suggestions as far as nutrition optimization, supplementation, or if you're someone who's a candidate and it's necessary, hormonal optimization to help move you in the right direction so you're not playing guesswork with your body. Also, if you've already gotten your lab work done, but you just want to get a checkup, we also have a checkup panel that's made so that you can check up and make sure that everything is moving in the right direction if you've already gotten comprehensive lab work done. This is something super important that I've done for myself. I've had my mom work with Merrick. We've all worked with Merrick just to make sure that we're all moving in the right direction and we're not playing guesswork with our body. Andrew, how can they get it?
Yes, that's over at merrickhealth.com/powerproject. And at checkout, enter promo code POWERPROJECT to save 10% off any one of these panels or any lab on the entire website. Links in the description as well as the podcast show notes. All right, moving on. Creatine,
I'd say, as far as effectiveness and what it does, helps you create more ATP, pretty much helps you have a little bit more energy when you're working in the gym. You can get a few more reps.
People like it for like a little bit of extra brain activity. Some people found it kind of a nootropic, right?
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Older folks too. It's like there are no negative side effects really to creatine. I notice a difference when I use it. I dig it. So
I just scoop it in I just throw it into my shakes in the morning. I have them almost every day.
Mm-hmm.
It's the most researched supplement ever.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah, I always forget to take it because I never feel it. So I just wanted to throw that out there.
Yeah. No. The thing is like creatine's
throw it in
one
your
of those
coffee
things.
and your the shake that you've been making.
I know.
It won't change the flavor.
Yeah. Unflavored. Yeah. And just use it each day. It's one of those things where you use it over time. You notice that you have a little bit more in each workout, right? It's not like electrolytes or something where you're going to like, if you haven't taken electrolytes before, then you start taking electrolytes and you're like, I'm not getting cramping. I can actually, it's not like that or caffeine, but it does have an effectiveness over time. Now, are we going to say it's like super effective for muscle growth and fat loss? No, but it could add a bit to your performance, which can then add a bit to those things. So I'd put it at like a B. What do you say?
It's also, I think it's just nice for people that want to be natural to like have something like, you know what I mean? Like, like natty people need something too, right? Mm-hmm. They need something to believe in.
I was just gonna say I miss the days in like high school or even junior high where it's like, oh, that guy's on creatine.
Yeah.
Like, oh shit, like he's gonna get huge, or somebody is big and like, oh yeah, he's taking creatine. Like you can tell.
It's so funny that it did have that resurgence though in like 2020 and 2021. Like as younger people were on TikTok and stuff, and everyone was like talking about the creatine. So it had that resurgence again.
That's right.
And then you had all the people like Dr. Mike and all these people, Jeff Nipper talking about, oh yeah, creatine is super effective. And it is effective.
Isn't it amazing though when people talk to you and they have an opportunity to like ask you a question? It's always about like a supplement.
Yeah.
Almost, hey man, like they see you at the grocery store. I got a question. Should I be taking some creatine? You're like, oh man.
It's usually always protein, right?
Yeah.
It's like, do you take protein? Like, yeah.
Like I got this brand. It's from Sweden. It's grass fed, or like it's got some sort of thing to it or whatever. You're like, I don't know, dude.
Yeah, should it be like the different type of creatine or whatever?
People
like
get scammed
I
with
forgot.
that shit.
Yeah, I forgot all the names. But it's funny. I actually got asked recently from again, somebody like about my age, but a female, and she was like, "Oh, my coworker said that she had to I think preload it or something like that." And I was like, dang, I haven't talked about that in a long time. And she's like, yeah, she's having a hard time because she has to drink so much. And I'm like, just...
Yeah, you start like the first 5 days with like 20 grams.
Yeah,
right? To saturate the
She's
muscles.
like, I can't get it all in. I'm like, look, in like 2-3 months, you will be in the exact same spot. There's no point in like trying to, drown yourself in creatine for right now.
Such
but
great
funny.
marketing.
Yeah.
Like, there's like, all right, let's get everybody to run through this first bottle real quick.
Because it's so inexpensive.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? It's so inexpensive. Like, also,
Those are
this
too
isn't a
good.
sponsor.
Too good.
Okay, the Create gummies are good, but they're overpriced.
They're too good is that's the problem.
You eat a lot of them, but the thing is like it's creatine monohydrate. They taste good. So for those of you who
Made them taste good. I don't think they have sugar in them. I think they have like
sugar.
allulose or something like that.
yeah, for those of you who for some reason you can't use powdered creatine, there you go. It makes it easier to get in your creatine. But
My wife loves gummies.
yeah,
She's got a bunch of gummy vitamins all over the house.
They're delicious.
But I don't know. She's weird though. She has like control and stuff. She's got
You
self-control
can
on
take
things.
one.
how many of those have you eaten? I remember on
dude.
day one, I ate fucking 9 of those gummies.
Oh, I've lost
Or probably
track.
more. Yeah.
I remember you just sitting in the office getting bigger.
It's fucking See, that's the thing. That they want you to eat more of those gummies.
Yeah, no, I know I was taking like 3 at a time, and I probably got up and like I don't know, I probably had like 12 in one sitting, and I went home and my stomach was like, why do I have a tummy ache? And it's I probably had like 20 grams of allulose. Like this is not good.
That's the next jiu-jitsu tournament. It's like you got to eat a bag of those and then roll with people.
Just cramping the whole time.
Again, I think that's a hell of a. It's not something I'm going to do at anybody, but it's a great way to deal with your opponents. Eat something that makes you gassy, but you can still perform. Just gas your shit up, dog. Be fucking smelly as shit when you're rolling with a person, and just like play your guard, but your butt's open. It's just like it's one of those things where they won't want to come past.
I don't even like playing around about this, but I've heard a lot of no-gi guys talking about like before a comp they won't brush their teeth.
Oh,
and they'll just be fucking nasty. I'm like, dude, that's a no-gi thing. That's not me. Apologies to the bros, but like that's what I've heard.
That's disgusting.
It's yeah, dude. So no thanks.
So people with the gi are way more civilized.
Yes,
I think so. Yeah, I
100%.
I totally understand.
Yeah.
No gear radicals, you know.
All right. Effectiveness of creatine.
I'd put it at like a B. I mean, it's not going to be effective as drugs, but I mean, it's effective. You know,
Yeah,
is it as effective as Clen though? Because we haven't.
Yeah, I would say Clen's more effective, but
No, I'd put it at B.
yeah.
Yeah, you know,
I think that's
hope
fair.
for the natties.
Mm-hmm. And this shit ain't dangerous at all.
No, it's a F level danger.
Yeah, that was pretty easy
F
there.
level danger.
All right.
Do we have anything that's ranked BS? Oh, we have Clen as B level and S level danger. So it's
Yeah.
that the ranking of Clint is BS.
That's good.
That's pretty cool. Okay, what's our next?
All right, so this one's a little bit of a broader one, but fat burners. So
There's a lot of things that go into this.
yeah.
Ashwagandha, people use that as a fat burner.
What's the one that makes you sweat? Not Clen.
I've used
It's
it
like
when I was younger.
Almost like a pepper thing.
That shit gave me a headache.
It makes you hot.
Yeah. Let's just type in fat burners right now.
Dang
Like
it, what's it
niacin? No.
No.
Yohimbine?
Yohimbine.
there it is.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, I used that shit once. I think I used 2 pills.
It can make you feel sick.
It made me feel sick and it made me start to sweat. I was sweating
Yeah.
for hours. So maybe I just had a bad reaction, but I never used Yohimbine
Yeah.
since then.
Yeah, that's a weird one.
So maybe it's fucking effective. Like imagine if you're sweating after just taking a pill. I mean, maybe not everyone has this effect, but I did.
Are you you're just losing water weight?
I mean, that means if you're sweating, like think about this. When you eat hot food, right?
Your body temp.
Your body temperature goes up. So you naturally burn more calories. If you're starting to sweat from taking something, you're going to be burning more calories. So in essence, I mean, again, I don't know if, have you guys taken Yohimbine
I
consistently?
have, but I don't know if I've ever really noticed anything from
So
it.
you didn't notice anything.
No. I mean, other than just like not feeling good.
Yeah, I didn't feel good, but I mean, I don't. No.
It gave
fat
me,
loss.
from what I remember, it was giving me like the chills.
It gave
Ooh.
you
I had
chills.
my skin felt sensitive. Some people get like erections and stuff from it too because it makes your skin sensitive.
Huh.
We should bring Kendall back and see what he says about it. Kendall Richmond, guys.
Yeah.
We have one podcast.
Fun podcast. Was it? I remember back in the day watching WWE. They always had fat burner commercials, and I think it was Hydroxycut. Do those work? I've never. I remember. Dude, wow, this just hit me right now. Early 20s, everyone's drinking and everyone's getting fat, and I remember I had a bunch of friends taking Hydroxycut
Oh my God.
to help with the fat gain from drinking beer. None of it didn't work for them.
All right, what's the active ingredient?
Yeah,
in
normally there's just like stimulants in those things. You know,
Yeah.
normally it's like caffeine and
coffee extracts, a bunch of
Right.
Hydroxycut.
I think caffeine can be a little effective in terms of being like an appetite suppressant a bit, but
And pushing your energy for a small period of time.
that's
Like,
true.
You'll feel like you have more energy, but so it can't work. But it's one of those things where it's like, I mean,
it's not as advertised, right?
No.
It's like it's a fat burner, but it doesn't really burn fat very well.
No. You still need activity. You still need to do all the things that the people who are burning fat well need to do. Right? You're not just going to take the fat burner and immediately you start seeing your abs
Right.
showing up a few weeks later.
Yeah, it's almost like the fat burn, like the actual fat burn is the side effect of what the fat burners do. It's not the thing that they do, right? They give you caffeine, they give you energy to go do something. They make you sweat while doing something.
Right.
But the pills don't make you lose fat. They just give you something to go do something to potentially lose the fat.
And it might be why like a bodybuilder or physique competitor might use them for a few weeks because like why not use them when you're doing your cardio? Because
Right.
like maybe it fucking helps. You know, they'll do anything at that point. I mean, they'll put stuff on their waist and do an hour of cardio and all the other stuff they do.
I'd put it at like a C because like it's one of those things where, again, if you know that it's not necessarily, this thing is going to just burn fat, but it'll increase your energy levels a little bit so you can potentially burn a little bit more fat compounded over time. Maybe you'll burn more fat while using the fat burner than if you weren't using it, right? So they can be effective, but they're not. I don't use fat burners.
And I wouldn't recommend them for anybody.
I never recommend them either. Yeah.
Garbage.
So you guys want to put it at F?
I think so.
Fuck it. Yeah, let's put fat burners at F. I feel like they're an F.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But
I forgot to mention something about Ozempic. You know, when Peter Itia talked about how some of the people were losing like a similar amount of muscle mass to fat. So he said in that one case, you know, the person going down to 180 and they lost 10 pounds of muscle and 10 pounds of fat. There's no actual known mechanism of these GLP-1 antagonists. I think that's what they're called.
GLP-1 agonists.
Agonists, there we go. There's no known action of them causing you to lose muscle. The only action that there could be is that it might drive down your hunger so much that you don't eat enough protein potentially.
Wow.
So that could be but it doesn't It's not like it rips muscle off your body. It doesn't burn, it's not burning fat and muscle. It doesn't even burn fat. It literally just helps you control your appetite more so than anything else.
Wow.
That's why the powerful thing I think about this is like, you still have the ability to make the choice that'll push you in the right direction. Because you can make the choice to have the Ozempic, but then you can make the choice to try to eat the more protein, even though you might be feeling too full. So if you're a 290-pound person using Ozempic, and you know that, okay, I know that if I take this, I'm not going to want to eat as much, but I still want to try to get 200 to 215 grams of protein in per day. You get your 200 to 215 grams of protein per day, you resistance train, you'll probably maintain muscle as you're dropping that body fat. But who's going to do that?
Right. I think adherence is the hard thing. And that's, again, Peter Attia, he works with a lot of different types of people. It's not like he's just working with, everybody he works with doesn't look like Joe Rogan. You know what I mean? They're not super fired up and excited always to work out. So getting people to follow what you say is very difficult.
Yeah.
All right. So we're leaving that one down low in F. Dangers. I mean, you can get a pretty bad tummy ache. You might feel a little
I'd
sick.
put it at like a C.
I just think because it's not like creatine where you can literally take it and feel nothing.
Yeah.
You'll feel something, and you could potentially feel pretty uncomfortable if you didn't eat, and then you get on step mill for an hour, and now all of a sudden you're dehydrated. Plus you have yohimbine in your system or whatever it's called. Like,
I also think too, because there's so many caffeine extracts in these things. Okay. I vote for either B or C, because people when they start using fat burners, the label will say take 1 a day. People will probably take 2 or 3 a day. And let's also think about the fact that like a lot of people don't just take their fat burner in the morning. A lot of people will take their fat burner in the afternoon or evening when they're planning on working out. So what do we know that caffeine does to affect your sleep? Right. It'll fuck up your sleep without you realizing it. So now you're getting worse sleep, and you're trying to burn more fat, even though your sleep is worse, you're probably burning less fat. I think it has a lot of potential downstream negatives. So I'd put it at a B or a C, but definitely not S or A.
No.
What do you guys think?
I think you got to be careful with all these different things just because, supplements are pretty unregulated. You don't really know what the hell's in there. And I mean, these companies have been sued before. And were you with me when I went to bodybuilding.com, Andrew?
No, I wasn't here yet.
I went there years ago, and just going from like cubicle to cubicle, just talking to like a bunch of different people in these like big offices. They had, hundreds of employees, and they would say, oh yeah, people send us free stuff all the time. And this guy went to the ER, and this guy went to the ER, and that guy went. I was like, holy shit, just off of like some pre-workout fat burner type thing. So these none of this stuff's safe. And that's why, for years and years when people have talked about how unsafe steroids are, I'm like, man, like there's a lot of shit that's I'm not going to say that steroids are safe, but there's a lot of shit that's unsafe, and there's a lot of stuff that's really unregulated, and we don't really know what the fuck we're getting a lot of times.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'd say, at least B then on that one. Yeah, I think that's fair. Oops. All righty. And then we have...
so fat burners are FB.
Yeah.
Interesting.
Next one, it's injectable glutathione. Yeah.
So you were just actually, you just texted us about like, y'all take some glutathione. Why? What happened?
Yeah. No, so I honestly, I think my family and I got COVID. Like we were feeling pretty sick. We went on vacation. The first day, my wife was like, I'm feeling something. I'm like, oh, it's probably just because we went from like 110 degrees to like 60 degree weather, like something, that you'll adjust, you'll be fine. Sure enough, she got sick. My daughter got sick. We got home. My son got sick, and I was good. I was totally fine. And then I woke up and I'm like, oh, I feel awful. Like it was flu-like symptoms, but from what we've been hearing and talking to other people, it seems like it was potentially like a different strain of COVID or whatever, which I'm pretty stoked about because like we got it early. Yeah. And so now there's a bit of like immunity towards whatever that strain is. So maybe going into flu season, we'll be a little bit better off. Especially my son, man, he looked like a freaking zombie. I felt awful, but it's good for him to build up. Anyways, we had podcasted, and I just remember thinking like, dude, if it's as contagious as like, it potentially has been, like, guys, take glutathione if you can. Like, I had to take some. It just helped you. It helped me kind of relieve some of the symptoms a lot quicker.
Yeah.
Not saying, again, YouTube and anybody listening, this isn't advice. This is for fun and entertainment. But I don't know all the ins and outs of it, but I felt better. And I know if I had potentially been taking it before, I probably could have like skirted my way around it.
Yeah.
And so basically I was just like, hey guys, maybe boost your immune system and, rejuvenate your body as a whole.
Yeah.
Right.
And people are
when you're tired,
Yeah.
you're more susceptible to getting sick. And that was the case with us because we were on vacation, sleeping in very uncomfortable beds. And so we were just like kind of a lack of overall sleep, even though my sleep was great when I got it. But I was just thinking like, hey, boost your energy, boost your bodies, boost your immune system. So that way the few hours we hung out together, you guys don't catch whatever the heck I had.
Yeah.
So yeah.
Yeah. And glutathione, it's mainly like people mainly talk about it as a thing for recovery, right? I remember Jake Benson was suggesting that we take glutathione after a hard training. I mean, you've used it quite a bit. What are your thoughts?
Yeah, Jake Benson and I think Superbrain are both fans of it for like recovery, for like days off type thing. And I can't really say I've noticed anything from it, but yeah, whenever people are sick or anything like that, I'll just have some. So I'm like, I might as well just take a shot of it here and there. So I'll use it here and there. But I think like one of the cool things about glutathione is that it's not something that needs to necessarily be taken like every day. It can be taken sporadically. You can kind of hear of someone being sick, or you could just be really tired and fatigued. Maybe for the next couple of weeks, your training is going to be a little tougher, and maybe you can take it periodically. It's not. That's the annoying thing about shots. Sometimes there's some things that you have to take almost every day, or there's some sort of protocol where, you got to take it 2 times a week. And then once you drop off, then your testosterone levels might go. Like glutathione doesn't really work that way. You can just kind of take it more haphazardly. And L-Carnitine is kind of a little similar that way. You can kind of just take it when you need it. But glutathione, I do like it. I do think it can help your immune system.
Yeah. And then, so also for comp training, you start to hit not a wall, but like that fatigue starts to build up, right? Like it doesn't like you get tired one day and then it goes away. Like, no, you start to build up more and more and more. And I noticed that when I would take it, it sort of felt like I got a day off, so like I would train Monday morning and then say I'm off Tuesday, then go back Wednesday. If I would go Wednesday to Thursday, I'd be thrashed. But if I took glutathione, it felt like that Monday to Wednesday period where I had just like a little bit more rest. And I think it's super effective because I don't think I've ever really experienced anything like that other than extra sleep on a day off.
Looking it up.
It almost feels like meditation in a way. Almost feel like you meditated without meditating.
Yeah.
Yeah. It reduces oxidative stress, apparently. Powerful antioxidant, powerful immune system booster. Inflammation goes down.
Oh, yeah.
Cellular repair. It's mainly used as a repair thing, and it is super effective. I've used it once. I hate it. I don't like injecting, so I used it once. I think it was a bit useful, but I haven't used it since, and I should. But I fucking hate injections.
Yeah.
I don't like injections.
And of all things to inject, it's like the easiest thing to do.
It was definitely easier than L-Carnitine. That shit stung.
Yeah, that stuff's rough.
So as far as like what it's marketed to do, glutathione is, would you rank that at S or A? Because it's effective.
I don't want to overhype things, but for me, like if I have to keep one thing in stock at all times, I would want it to be this.
Yeah?
Yeah. I mean, it's not like I have a fucking drawer full of drugs, but it's something that like if I have access to it, I'm like super pumped.
Yeah.
I got a pretty good drawer.
Yeah.
Anyway.
I've seen your shoebox.
Yeah.
I got mine.
The Nike
mine
shoebox. I still have that shoebox.
Yeah. Mine doesn't have blood on it, but I got a shoebox now.
Got blood on it, a couple holes.
Yeah. I don't know. What do you think, Mark? Top or not topper?
I think it works kind of as advertised. But I think as long as people aren't kind of overhyping it, I think it's very effective.
Yeah. And I definitely don't want to say there's no drawbacks, but I don't think there's anything too crazy.
The only drawback is the shot.
Yeah.
And that, which has its own set of dangers sometimes, you know.
There's apparently potential for overdose, but it's very rare. Very rare. Lack of long-term studies. Yeah.
It's fair. Is this? No.
People do try to take glutathione as like a supplement. Like they try to take it like orally or whatever. And supposedly it's not nearly as effective. I don't really know, but hard to tell with stuff like that.
Yeah.
I
put it at a C. These are one of those things where it's newer. It's like I wouldn't say it has no risk, but it's like everything you need to be careful. You need to be careful about how much you take. And like if people have gotten overdose problems from injectable glutathione, then it's one of those things where you can't just like creatine. It's going to be hard to overdose on creatine. That's why we put it at F.
Yeah. And then because there is a needle involved, I think you have to deal with that. But it's almost like no, you're not really going to get jacked up on creatine, but you could choke on it. Like if you try to dry scoop too much of that. But no, I would say C at least with injectable glutathione.
All right.
Now things are going to get interesting though. You put ChatGPT on here. Why is that here?
ChatGPT is awesome as a research tool. I think it's the best research tool. I use it to help dive deep on certain things I'm trying to learn about. Also help me find certain studies so I can learn about studies and stuff. So you don't have to actually, like, it'll lead you to those things. But at the same time, you have to double check the things you put in on ChatGPT because it is not just giving you everything correctly. And I think that's one of its benefits. It's probably the best search engine for people trying to learn about things. But at the same time, it can give you a lot of misinformation. And we know the power that misinformation can have, especially when it's spread from the right lips, right? So, yeah.
How about a search engine that asks you questions? You know, that's what ChatGPT is. Like, it will, give a statement and will tell you like a bunch of stuff. And then it's like, how else can I help you? It's like kind of ridiculous. You think, the way we search for stuff on Google and stuff, you think like, oh my God, this is like so crazy. I can literally look up anything. But if I was to ask, what's the population of like Davis, California, it's probably going to tell me that, but it's probably going to like see if I want, do I have other inquiries, I said that correctly, inquiries about Davis, California. And so then it's going to lead you to be able to get even more information, right?
Yeah, it's only limited by your imagination because you can be like, hey, you are now an expert on all things Davis, California. I am going to take a test on Davis, California. I need you to quiz me on all the things, blah, blah, blah. And it becomes the expert.
Yeah.
And then you can now talk to the expert. Like, that's really freaking cool. And it's just weird because like I'm not very good at prompts and all that sort of thing. But like, yeah, if you can get good at that, like, holy crap, like you can learn so much faster and just accomplish so many different things.
In this information age, I think it's a necessity. If you're someone who wants to do stuff online and you want to learn things rapidly, I think it's a necessity, like learn how to use it because it's just an invaluable tool that'll speed up so many processes of learning, So,
yeah. It's unbelievable. I mean, because it can talk to you. So you're talking back and forth. I mean, so Google... you think about how funny this is to say like that Google's tedious, but that's where we're at, right? You search for something and then it gives you some recommendations. It has like a top 10 or something. You scroll around.
Some of them are trash.
Yeah, some of it's crap. And like maybe, I don't know, maybe like 40% of it's kind of garbage, right? And so you got to kind of sift through. And then, Google does have like that little bar that has like, who is this person? Or like it has like, there's like a thing that you can go to like that has a little quicker information in there and stuff. But you literally have to kind of click on that. Then once you click on that, then you're stuck in there. And sometimes you get stuck on weird pages and there's pop-up ads and all this other shit going on. Yeah. But when you're using ChatGPT, it's literally a conversation back and forth with a unlimited library resources of information that just comes back at you. So it's really, it's amazing technology. And I think, part of the reason why we put it on the list is like, I think, TRT and Ozempic and a lot of these things and ChatGPT, I kind of think falls into that category. It's just, these are some technologies that are coming along and we got to kind of figure out what to do with them. Do we just like pair up? Does Ozempic get put into our tap water? There's so many people that have trouble with their body weight. Like,
maybe for the Midwest.
Yeah, is there is there a reason to like just embrace these things? I guess is the main point of what I'm saying.
Yeah, is ChatGPT, is it unbiased? Right, because if you like Google search certain things get hidden.
Yeah. Of course, it's going to be, it's going to have some bias, I guess.
People have done tests on asked a certain thing about certain politicians. I think somebody did something on Trump and then asked questions about Kamala or whatever, and it gave you certain negative things about Trump. So we know that there are some back end shit that will bias it in certain ways. But this is the thing. This is why you need to double check. You need to learn how to read through those biases. You get something from ChatGPT, cross-reference. Cross-reference. Like that's how you can get to the truth that you might be looking for, right? So being able to handle the stresses of your day, the stress of exercise, and being able to stick to your nutrition plan takes good rest and good quality sleep the night before. And if your mouth is opening during sleep or if you're snoring, well, your sleep quality is compromised. That's why we've partnered with the best mouth tape in the game, Hostage Tape. If you have a beard, it's going to stay on. If you have a CPAP, it's going to stay on. This tape is not going to fall off your mouth like most other tapes do when you're asleep. And to enhance the way you breathe through your nose, they also have nose strips.
Head over to hostagetape.com/powerproject where you can get a 3-month supply of hostage tape for only 65 cents a night. On top of that, you're going to receive a free pack of nose strips as well as a bedside tin. Again, that's at hostagetape.com/powerproject. Links in the description as well as the podcast show notes.
Yeah, that's kind of the dangers of it, right? And you never want to have, you don't want information to ever come from like one spot. So why wouldn't you use ChatGPT, but then why wouldn't you think, oh, I'm going to actually check with this person, that's a doctor or a material expert in that same field. Say, hey, I asked ChatGPT this, and they might be like, well, that's not exactly how it works.
Yeah.
Alrighty.
I say S tier effectiveness.
Yeah, and I feel like we're still barely scratching the surface.
Oh, 100%.
Yeah, and then
as far as danger, that's an odd one. It's not dangerous because like the ability to, I guess, have anything you want to learn at your fingertips, it's powerful, but it's like, what if you're learning some of the wrong information and then you're spreading that misinformation? Shit. Again, look at the Imani Khalif situation that happened. Immediately once the news put it out, people were like, this man is beating women. I saw this guy, Ryan Mickler, was like, if you men don't stand up against this injustice, you're not a man. It's like, whoa. Slow down, bro. Like, it's right. So it's information has always been somewhat dangerous, though.
Yeah, it's true.
Right? So what do you guys think? I don't know.
Yeah, it's how you utilize that information. I guess sometimes when we're looking at some of these things, and in the case of Ozempic, even like it's being prescribed to really young people, and so I don't know, is ChatGPT maybe not great for like a little kid to be messing with? I don't know. Like maybe it's not dangerous, but I guess.
It's like the internet, right? Like when the internet came to kids, we can't have kids not learn how to use the internet. Right. But then they're going to be kids like me who are looking up copious amounts of pornography. It's how it's used.
Boobs.
Just boobs.
Yeah.
Starts with boobies and then kind of starts to get nastier after that.
I was just
like, ChatGPT, how do I poison mommy?
Oh, gosh.
I think...
that's dangerous. Oh,
I think a teacher friend of ours was telling us about like the computers of like some of the kids that, and it was all, it was great because it was like, kids being like curious, but it was all like bikinis, girls in bikinis, bras, girls underwear, it's like, yeah, like they didn't know how to like come up with a nasty search,
Yeah.
That's so wholesome.
Isn't that amazing?
If I had a young boy and I saw that in his search history, I'd be like, Oh man. Hey.
Yeah, exactly.
But let me teach you something.
Yeah. Let me show you where the good stuff is. You need a membership for this one.
Here's my password, youngin. Oh my gosh. Yeah, I did see something where it was like the search engine inquiries.
Yeah.
Was like it was like a famous person and then a famous person bikini and then like a famous person kissing. Like it just like they couldn't. Yeah, they didn't have it in them to figure out how to like get disgusting. Yeah. And so what I was going to say with like ChatGPT or even the internet itself, it kind of just reminds me of like video games. Like they're harmless, but you know, back in the day, like Mortal Kombat came out, and that's when they started the rating system and stuff.
Could kill hookers in GTA. I don't know if you can still kill hookers in GTA. I mean, sex workers.
We won't find out.
Back in the day. Sorry, sex workers.
That's so funny. Got to be politically correct.
When does that shit come out? Is it next year, right?
I don't know.
The 5th one, right?
Six comes
Sixth
out
one.
next. Yeah.
Damn.
I love everything that's like, oh, we got so and so before we got GTA 6. Like those are good. Golly.
So I put it right in the middle. I mean, again, it's all dependent on how you use it.
Yeah.
But it's vast amount of information.
Yeah, I would say B because that could get weird fast.
Especially if AI starts to like.
So is the new Apple phone, does that have it? That's like in the phone or something, right?
So.
Yeah.
It's like part of its does the new Apple phone have Siri too or no?
I think she just got like a bump, right? Like she's a little bit more powerful or connected or something.
Siri, like I think it has Siri that's directly
Connected
to ChatGPT, so Siri will work like ChatGPT.
Because Siri is not that good.
Yeah, but I think that's why Elon Musk.
Like, here's what I found. You're like, I want you to fucking tell it to me. Don't show me these stupid websites that you found.
Yeah, she's lazy as fuck.
That's what I'm saying. She needs to upgrade.
Have you guys worked on changing your Siri voice? I sometimes have her like an Australian or an Indian accent, so I'll go back and forth. Sometimes she'll have an Indian accent, or sometimes she'll be Aussie. Kind of exotic. I like talking to an exotic woman every now and then.
I haven't messed with that yet, but I think for my ChatGPT, I'll fuck with a different accent.
Yeah. You could put a British accent in there too, if that's your, that's your fancy. It's pretty fun.
No, I haven't. I don't even mess with Siri at all.
Oh, okay.
Like I don't have the thing where if I say, "Hey Siri," like it doesn't come up. I don't fucking. It's every time I've tried it, it's been like, you are useless, and I'm about to cause an accident because now I'm driving, and that was the point. Like it be hands free, and nothing worked.
Thanks.
All right, Grandpa, we got you. I got you.
As fuck.
Take some joy mode and relax, bro.
Yeah. Kratom.
Kratom. Hey.
Love it. Works great.
Effective.
Super safe. Try some Mind Bullet.
Mindbullet.com.
Sold, Dad.
Sorry, YouTube.
It is effective. It is very effective.
It's very
right.
effective.
It makes you feel good. It makes you. We've talked about this.
Very high productivity.
I know a lot of people who have been addicted to it, though.
Yeah.
And have gotten addicted to it and had to come off of it. And so you got to be careful. It's a powerful molecule. It works really great. It kind of, for me, it gives me like kind of what I want. And so it's awesome. But you end up in the category like, and then what? So how long are you going to take it? You take it every day? You're going to take it multiple times a day? These are all things to kind of think about and consider.
The interesting thing is the only thing I've ever had that I've used consistently that was as effective as Kratom was coffee. Because I drink coffee and 30 minutes later I'd be like, "Ooh, let's go. I feel good. I'm on top of the world. I'm going to be productive today." I had to stop drinking coffee over time because I just kept drinking more and more coffee. And but Kratom always puts me in a good mood. Without fail, it'll put me in a better mood and I'll feel all happy and I'll be smiling and but it's one of those things where you things that are too good, you just got to be careful with them. You got to be careful of your intake. So I'd put it at S level effectiveness.
Yeah, I agree.
Yeah, SRA level effectiveness.
Man, I don't know. I've taken a lot of nootropics and I've tried Adderall. I've tried all the things that we just talked about, and nothing comes close to the feeling that you get with Kratom.
Gotta be careful though.
And it's every time.
Yeah.
It's not
every time.
It's not like, whatever, maybe I'll take some more tomorrow. I'll take a break. Like, nope. Every time. And it's pretty awesome.
Yeah.
But yeah, no, I stopped taking it a while ago. I just stopped taking it. Super duper S tier.
Why'd you stop taking it? To give yourself a break?
No, I don't know. I just felt like I didn't really like need that feeling anymore.
Okay.
And I just decided like, this is another thing. I'm good. Like,
you're trying to clean out a lot of stuff. You got rid of a lot of artificial sweeteners, and you're trying to, when someone's trying to like clean shit up, it's a good idea. Like keep cleaning shit up and just kind of see where it takes you, right?
Yeah, that's very true. I forgot about that aspect of it, but yeah, I've taken a lot of stuff out of my circle, whatever you want to call it. Yeah, dangers.
I'd put it. Where would I put it? Because it's one of those things where, again, a lot of people have gotten addicted to it, and it's like we did a whole podcast on it, right? It is great, but you have to be super responsible, or else you're going to be one of those people that are saying Kratom did this to me, but no, it was you did it,
right?
Right. So
I would say it's pretty dangerous in the sense that like it might be harder for certain people to control their level of control with the product, right? 100%. So when we can say caffeine's addictive and we can talk about other drugs and their addictions and stuff, but Kratom does make you feel really good. And part of the thing about feeling really good like that, a lot of times you're going to pair it with something else. So you're now stacking things together, and it's not super safe. Like I would never tell people like, hey, this is non-addictive. People call and they ask about Mind Bullet. And they say, hey, is this addictive? We say, yep, sure is. What else would you like to know about it? Because it can be. And so I think it's really important for people to know that coming into it. Do people know that before they have alcohol and stuff like that? I'm sure they do. But to me, for me, Kratom is something that has felt like an enhancement to my life. It doesn't feel like it's to any detriment, but it could be a blind spot, that I'm not aware of. And maybe I need to, pay attention to it a little bit more. But I do kick it out here and there, and I do try to make sure that I'm reasonable with it. But I would say that it can be pretty dangerous. So I'd probably put it like maybe like below like the middle, like whatever that.
So C level effectiveness?
Yeah, somewhere, or not effectiveness.
C level dangerous.
Yeah, something like that. Yeah.
Okay.
I would put it a little bit higher because
I put it at B.
I think it's not as bad, but I think like it's like a not too far away from just like alcohol.
But the thing is like when I think about this, we put Adderall and glutathione. We put Adderall at C, and I would much rather. This is a tough one. Because I don't know. I mean, again, I don't.
We can make some adjustments, but like it's the fun part of making these tiers.
It's like right between B and C. It's like right there, right?
I would agree with that. I think it's fair. I think it's like the user needs to be really careful.
Yeah.
If you had an addiction to opioids before, and now you're going to try Kratom, like it's probably not a good idea to even try it, especially if you're already off the opioids. If you're going to use Kratom to come off opioids, then maybe that would be a decent plan. But you got to really like pay attention and research it. Like there's people that will just order powder, and then they make these shakes. They'll make a shake that's as big as this thing right here, like a 32-ounce shake that has grams of Kratom in it. And they'll just be like blasted all day long. It's like, well, man, of course you're going to get hooked on that shit. Like now you just turned a pretty awesome fucking plant into a very powerful drug.
And the podcast where we talked, but I think he mentioned it's unregulated. So like not Mind Bullet, but other brands of Kratom are putting a fuck ton of Kratom in there and people don't even realize.
There's shots now that are like 300 milligrams of Kratom like per shot. And then we just got some information recently, and somebody wanted us to change we had one that was like 80 milligrams. They want us to change it to like 135. I'm like, I'm out. I'm not buying that. Like, they're like, we don't have the 80 anymore. I'm like, good. All right. See you later. Because like, it already can be powerful. It already is very powerful. It already can be addicting. And there's no reason to like spike people with like a ton more of it,
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I always try to just tell people to be cautious with it. But again, it is something that I utilize sometimes before a run, sometimes before a lift. And it feels fucking awesome. Yeah, I enjoy it.
You know, interesting thing. I'd put it at B. Like I you know, when I look at the way I use these things, the reason why I'm always so pumped about Kratom is because, again, I have really good self-control with it. I can use it for 3 days and then not use it for a week. I'm cool. But when I use it, I'm like, this is fucking awesome. But I also do think, I don't know about this, right? But I know this, that when I use something like Kratom, or if I ever smoke or take an edible or something, if I go sweat, like if I go into my sauna, or if I go do something that makes me sweat, that stuff gets out of my system. Or like I will feel normal quick. So I think, like, again, this is just a bro science feeling over a long period of time. I think a lot of these things are, they might hit people that do physical activity differently, because it's not just sitting in your system and you're sitting around, right? Like you're doing these things and then you're going and doing something.
My cousin uses it a lot before he goes and works out, and it's better than not working out, right? I mean, so it can encourage you to like move and to do stuff, get you motivated.
Yeah. Anyway.
All right. So we'll leave it at B.
Okay.
And then next up is injectable L-Carnitine.
Mark, do you use it? Do you still use it quite a bit?
I haven't used it much recently, but I do really like it. Sometimes it's just convenience. Like normally, or for a little while, I was taking it before a run, and I'd actually feel like I noticed like a little difference, like a little extra kick, like towards the end of my run, felt like a little extra energy. But I do like it. It's just like if I go from work, if I go from where we're at now to my house, I'm like done for the day. So I usually just stay out and then I go run. So just out of convenience, I haven't done it in a little while.
Yeah. The times that I've used it, like I have used it before jiu-jitsu quite a few times. I used it before lifting. I noticed that I was sweating buckets more than I was before. I had more output, like I had more feeling of physical output when I was doing certain things. So I definitely felt it, but I haven't used it in a very long time because I hate needles and it stings. It really stings. Like it's effective, but it hurts. And I'm just not a fan of I'm not a fan of needles. So
yeah. The new formula from stings significantly less.
Oh, really?
It still bites, but it's nowhere near the way it was before. I noticed that towards the end of my rolls, or towards the end of like my jiu-jitsu sessions, I was still very present. Like I fade off and I'm like kind of like, oof, like, damn, I'm wrecked. I would be feeling great towards the end of each session. I'm like, wow, like there's definitely something here.
Gotcha.
And as like the instructors demonstrating stuff, I just like could see it, and like I would have so many more questions that just, I don't know if they would be there or they weren't be there. Like, but like at least every time I took it, I was like, okay, what about it? And I just had more stuff to bring up and add to the kind of Q&A portion of that. So for me, cognitively, it helped, and then also like maybe endurance, like because I was able to kind of withstand a whole training session from start to finish strong. So I noticed that for sure.
Sam's been using it a bit before workouts. It was suggested to her from Merrick, and she's been liking it.
I like carnitine. I think it's pretty good. It's pretty effective. I do think that people might overhype it a little bit. Again, some people are talking about, the powerful, it being a powerful, fat burner. And again, like if you don't have like all your other things together, like I just don't think you're not going to be like, oh my God, like I'm shredded, from taking it, even for 5 or 6 weeks. If you did it for 5 or 6 weeks straight, if you're a competitor, like someone that has to be like on stage for something, and you have the disciplines that a physique athlete has, then yes, you're going to be like, oh wow, it is making a difference, but it's going to make like this tiny difference that only those people can see. So if you're a heavier person trying to inject L-Carnitine, you're not going to really see, any sort of crazy fat loss. However, you might feel a little bit more energy during your workouts because it is supposed to allow for like the fatty acids to be utilized in your body a little bit better.
I think a cool thing about what we're realizing here, or maybe what we already knew, is that all of this stuff, the thing that will make all of these things 100 times more effective is the actions of the user. Because a lot of people will take these things and be like, it's going to do this for me, but they don't change themselves. But the people that have really good like health habits and then they add these things on top of it feel like I felt the benefits of injectable L-Carnitine, but I was still getting sleep. I was still eating right. I was doing all the things that we do. And then that thing gave me that boost.
Right.
But if I wasn't doing those things and I was just going and using some carnitine, then going to the gym, it's not going to be nearly as effective.
It's not going to work nearly as good.
So habit stack.
Yeah. Man, where do we put this then?
That's an S or A. You know what I mean? I put it at A. I wouldn't put it like S. But what do you guys think? S-A-B? I say S-A. One of those two.
Man, that's tough.
Because it is effective. So it's one of those.
Super effective. And
A little block jumping around. Reminds me of Mario Brothers.
boing, boing.
Yep. You smash it. I'd say A.
Okay.
All right. A it is. Now, dangers. There's really minimal dangers to injectable L-Carnitine.
I think if you take too much, you can get pretty bad diarrhea.
Okay, diarrhea.
Definitely with the oral form of it, yeah. You'll really shit your pants.
There can be toxicity if you take way too much of it, apparently, but like that's difficult to do. You got to take a lot of it.
Don't forget your carnitine comes from your red meat, too.
Yeah.
So you get heart disease.
Yep.
Okay. And then so there also, again, there's a needle involved.
Yeah, site reactions.
Yeah.
Yes.
Oh, dude, I remember I got the fattest lump. I was like, oh my gosh, I'm going to die. Like I felt so scared.
Yeah. Well, it's not as dangerous. This is what I was going to say. It's not as safe as creatine, but it's not as dangerous as Ozempic. So put that baby at a C.
Okay.
Sounds fair.
Yeah, I was going to say just the same spot as glutathione, I think.
Yeah.
They're about the same.
Yeah. That was actually the suggestion from Joe. L-Carnitine for performance, glutathione for recovery, right? So, yeah.
All right, peptides as a whole.
There's a lot of peptides.
Lots of peppies.
There are a lot of peptides. I do hear people singing the praises of like BPC 157, and that's usually combined with TB 500. I've tried those things before. I don't know if I ever had enough real consistency with them to... I had a pretty nasty like hamstring thing going on for a while. And I hit that up with the BPC stuff for a few weeks or so. And my pain did subside, but it was like, it seemed to be like in conjunction with me doing like myofascial release and particular like movements and stretches and stuff. Yeah. But it worked, it was helpful. And this wasn't like a tear or anything like that. It was just minor whatever the hell was going on in my butt cheek / hamstring. And it helped it recover. So I think that there's other peptides too that can be pretty effective. But they all seem to be, from at least my own experience, they seem to be pretty mild. I haven't really seen anything too crazy. I haven't seen anything be like insanely powerful.
Yeah, I don't have like really any experience with them. I would like to take maybe BPC and TB500 on a regular basis just to see, because like my knee's still bugging. So like, let me see what it does to that. Obviously my foot's still bugging. I don't think it'll help that, but who knows? Maybe it will. But BPC especially is like super popular. And I get asked about that on the mats maybe once a month. Like, hey, like, do you think, and I'm like, you could try it, but I promise you, like, if you just keep coming in here doing the thing that you do, like, it's not going to get better. You're not going to inject BPC and then all of a sudden be like, whoa, like, I'm freaking, I'm totally fine
Wolverine.
now.
It's marketed as the Wolverine drug, right?
Yeah, it's not going to, I could be way off on that. But again, if they're not doing the things to help the injury or whatever, like, that shot's not going to do a damn thing.
A bunch of different peptides are supposed to help with like the action of like your mitochondria and stuff like that. And so there's things that could potentially make your like make your body more efficient or your metabolism slightly more efficient, which then could lead to some really cool shit happening for you basically. But again, for the most part, what I've seen from peptides is like it's pretty minor. There's like one that's called MOT-C that quite a few people like. I've actually never tried that one, but it's supposed to help with like I forget exactly what it's supposed to help with, but mainly help with like your mitochondria being like more efficient. There is one that I have taken, and it's called DADA.
Dada.
And that one I've utilized for running, and it's supposed to kind of it's supposed to help you just kind of like continually go at the same pace that you're kind of going at. So I played around with that one a little bit. I do notice a difference when I take it versus when I don't take it. But yeah, I don't know. Maybe people can let us know in the comments too if they've seen some peptides that they think are incredible or amazing. But I haven't really noticed anything too crazy or amazing from peptides personally.
No links either.
Because don't be doing that. Because we've been putting like there's so many peptides and we're lumping it together as a garupa. I'd put it at like average level effectiveness right there with like B with creatine and clen. Just because like I think when so many people are selling peptide supplements now and people are trying to market it as like this big new muscle builder, but it's not going to do that. It's like you still need to be working out well. You still need to be having all the habits. You'll get more from eating right food, training enough volume, getting sleep than you're going to get from taking peptides. Yeah. It can maybe be somewhat effective, but it's like not. I don't think it's going to be something crazy. So it's just my knee jerk.
Yeah. Oh yeah. There's also like a bunch of peptides that are supposed to help with the production of like growth hormone. But I don't really think a lot of those things do much, unfortunately. I know that people are excited about these things. I think people are hopeful that they do something, but again, just from like people I know that have taken these things and from my own experience.
Ipamorelin and Summerelin, yeah.
I just haven't seen them do shit. And I hear people talk about them all the time, and I'm not trying to be negative about it. I just personally, again, I haven't seen them like really move the needle in some sort of major way, but maybe there's something I'm missing or not aware of.
Not just being a negative Ned. Dangers, though.
I think the dangers are sort of unknown. There's like more and more peptides seems like come out all the time. That whole like industry is interesting. It's like, who the hell is making, like, where are these things coming from?
Yeah.
You know, who's making them and for what reasons, you know? But I would say that you probably got to put them kind of in the middle of the road. I don't think they're like particularly like real dangerous, but we don't know the dangers of it. So that's
which is
scary.
dangerous.
Yeah, that's dangerous.
You know, like no long-term use. You're just injecting this thing that it's working right now, but what could it have down the road, right? So B.
All right.
Trend. We know how effective. It's S-level effectiveness.
Yeah. Kind of the goat.
Guys, this is the negative goat. Let's just understand it's effective, but this baby is not good for you.
It's the goat with the horns and the red everywhere.
I sent you a clip from our podcast.
Ah, yeah.
With
let's see.
And Mark, how much Tren have you taken in the past?
I've taken some Tren, yep.
Was that when you were your strongest? Or no?
I ended up liking other drugs for strength more so than Tren, but
okay.
I used Tren when I did my bodybuilding show.
You did. Okay.
Yeah, that helped a lot.
How'd you feel? Did you feel any negative things?
Felt awesome.
Play the video.
Felt shredded. Felt jacked.
Let's try this again. Hold on.
It maybe masks some things. Do you think it's a good drug, like in terms of utilizing it for powerlifting, and what are the things that people seem to be pretty reckless with it?
Jake or Joe?
And the amount that people used to use years and years ago.
My God.
It seemed like people were using it more moderately, kind of because of the way that it came. And now, people make it in like 100 and 200 milligram dosages, and people are blasting the fuck out of it. So what are some of your thoughts?
Well, I think the way to think about Tren is that the second that you inject Tren isn't going to do much as far as like these like protein expressions that other drugs can do. Otherwise, you just use like testosterone, right? The thing that makes Tren really special and different is that it's almost like changing the software and in your brain, right? You're almost like completely like, normally you operate on Windows. Now you're literally on a completely different software. So it actually hits your olfactory nerve, this little nasal nerve. And by law of locality, it actually pushes off onto the amygdala. And then through that, it has a little feedback loop with the amygdala to the hippocampus and then the hypothalamus. And because of that, now everything that you see, like your brain sees, like your hypothalamus is assessing in your body, like, how much glucose, how much whatever's happening in your body, the, perception that you see is now different, right? It's under a new lens because it's now biased towards this amygdala-driven environment that you're not used to. Yeah, so it's like it's going to drive glucocorticoids up, right? Which is why no one's really hungry. Everyone gets jacked on Tren, right? You take Tren, it's like, dude, I don't need to eat and I'm jacked.
Get to the negatives,
I'm not getting
please.
any weaker, right?
Come on, Jake.
No!
I'm not negative.
But yeah, kind of true. This is true.
But yeah, that's like, it's a very amygdala driven, and there's no other, well, I guess methyltren, but like that's what makes it unique.
Methyltren is different.
Don't act like no.
I think that was a legitimate question. Dude.
He ended up going somewhere to where Tren negatively affects your psychology and your brain too. So there's that, which we haven't gotten to yet. But
he, when we had him on the show here in this studio, he went on even further about it. And it was just like super interesting how it can change the way that you're like even smelling certain things and everything. It's like, I mean, he kind of mentioned it there, talking about in your brain, your olfactory nerve. But yeah, like, wild stuff. I guess, I mean, I don't know, like, if other steroids do some of those things. Like, maybe they do, and I just never heard of it before. But when he started mentioning some of that, I was just, like, kind of blown away.
An interesting thing, Mark, you know a lot of guys who were on Tren and have used Tren. And from the way he explains it, it does seem that Tren changes who you are. If it changes your perception of the world, the way you perceive things, then inherently you're somewhat of a different person, right? Have you seen Tren change people that have used it over the years at all? Or what have you seen it do to people that you know? That like things that pop out in your mind, like, oh shit, this happened to this guy.
I do know that some people have had some like, anger issues on it, and if you're someone that like gets frustrated, you'll get frustrated way easier. It seems to be like an irritant of some kind, like it like makes you sort of like perpetually slightly frustrated, maybe. It would be a good way of putting it. It also gives some people issues with their sleep, sort of amps you up a little bit, but
you're not as mad because you're 40 pounds heavier.
Yeah,
and it's all muscle.
Yeah, you're jacked, so you're pretty excited about that. I don't think I've ever seen it really change anybody. I haven't seen it really change anybody that I can think of, like in any sort of like real negative way.
Okay.
I also haven't heard of anybody like really running into any. There have been a couple of people like Pete Rubish and a couple other people I think have taken like, so much of it that they ran into some like issues like where they're like peeing blood and stuff like that. But I think they were taking other steroids too on top of that. So it's hard to blame the trend for what the Dianabol did. But it's powerful. So, the oral steroids are actually extremely powerful. Trenbolone is injected. It's an injectable, but things like Dianabol or Adderall, some of these drugs are really strong. And when people take orals, they only take so much of them because you can only take so much, because otherwise it starts to like kill your stomach. You start to get like acid reflux. It makes it hard to eat. And then the whole point of like taking Adderall or Dianabol is to get bigger and to get stronger, and then you can't eat. You're screwed, right? Trenbolone, bypasses a lot of that because it's an injectable, and it's just a completely different drug. But it seems to have like a way more powerful impact and effect than even just testosterone, which I think that testosterone is kind of like the one that sort of reigned supreme for a long time. But with something like Trenbolone around, it's that much more powerful. But all the more reason why people need to be careful with the dosage. So a lot of the stuff that you hear, people are reporting like having a lot of these negative side effects, it's just because they're taking a lot. And I think that the drug is so effective and powerful that it can be taken if some people would do way less of it, they can probably take it in a reasonable way to where they just ride out most of the benefits from it.
Yeah. So,
but danger-wise, I mean, the other danger of it is when you do inject it, it's more dangerous than the other drugs because for some reason, it can make you cough.
Ugh.
And there's weird shit like that where you're like, that sounds really like no one knows why that happens. People just have
so weird.
People just speculate on why it happens. But like when I say that you cough, I mean, it's like, picture like some day where you're, walking down the street and you just like inhale some sort of weird like pollen or something that's in the air. And it's just in this weird spot. You can't get to it. And you start to like cough, that's what it does. But it's like, you can't get rid of it because there's nothing in your throat.
And no one knows what that is?
No one knows what that is.
S tier danger,
Wild.
baby.
Yeah.
It's like,
Really?
we've had this cough that people have been having forever from this drug, but no one knows why it happens.
Mhm.
We
And
just cough.
It happens right as you inject it sometimes.
That's weird.
S tier
It makes
danger,
you go,
baby.
and you're like, oh shit. You're like, oh no. And then I don't know. It's rough. It's a rough go of it.
Mm-hmm.
So Tren is our first SS.
Yeah.
Yeah. In video games, like there's this like ranking in like an SS that's like super cool, super awesome. Tren is super dangerous. That's what Tren is.
Super effective.
I want to have a serious conversation with you about your balls, and I'm being serious here. On this podcast, we talked about a lot of things to help men improve the health of their penis because it's important. And your balls have very thin skin. This is true. You can touch them right now, and it's pretty thin. Women do a lot of things to take care of their vaginal health, and men, we don't really think about the things that we put right directly on our balls, like our boxers. A lot of popular brands out there have chemicals that are literally touching your balls. Think about this. When you're in the gym sweating, when you're at work sitting, when you're doing all these things could be permeating into your scrotum. Things like BPA, phthalates, pesticides, insecticides, toxic dyes, toxic fertilizers, formaldehyde, all of which could lead to and could exacerbate lower testosterone, erectile dysfunction, and potential infertility. That's why I've partnered with NADS. And NADS is made with 100% organic cotton and no toxic dyes. So instead of putting just anything on your manhood, it's a good idea to get your hands on some NADS. And Andrew, how can they get it?
Yes, that's over at nadsunder.com. That's NADS under.com. And at checkout, enter promo code POWERPROJECT to save 15% off your entire order. Again, that's at nadsunder.com. Links in the description as well as the podcast show notes.
Super dangerous.
Next
YouTube.
up,
Dangerous.
TRT, testosterone.
You got to replace that testosterone.
Effectiveness.
TRT can be really effective.
Very effective.
Again, going back to what Peter Itia said, that a lot of times when people diet, they're going to lose muscle mass, right? And if you start dealing with people that are 40 or 50, that are a little older, and they're trying to like get in better shape, they may be way better off if they had some TRT because they're going to be able to hold on to their muscle mass while they're dieting. They're going to be able to hold on to their muscle mass as they're getting older. But again, habits always reign supreme. If you just continually move and continually lift and continually eat protein, those are great ways to make sure that you're holding on to your muscle mass. And those are great ways to sort of, I guess, push off maybe potential TRT. But yeah, TRTs, there's a reason why it's so popular. There's a reason why so many people are doing it. You would imagine that if everyone went out and started to investigate and started to look into these TRT clinics for their own effectiveness, for their own health, that if they utilized them and it didn't work, that they wouldn't go back. But you don't really see that. There are some people, I've heard some people say, it wasn't for me and I didn't like it or it was too expensive. I've heard people say a couple things like that, but for the most part, somebody utilizes it, they get in a little bit better shape, and they're like, yeah, I'm really happy with the results. So TRT seems to be, kind of a newer technology. Like people didn't used to do it this way before.
Yeah.
And I'm sure it's been around for probably 20 or 30 years or so, but it's more popular now. And it's here to stay. And so I think it can be really effective for people.
Yeah, I think it works as good as advertised. I haven't met anybody that that's got on TRT and was like, oh, dude, like it didn't work out the way I thought it would. Now, I don't really know anybody that has ventured over that wasn't already active, though. You know, I don't know anybody that was overweight, you know, didn't eat right, didn't have any good habits, got on, and, you know, so I don't know. So maybe that's different, but yeah, it's super effective.
I'll just reiterate. Oh, go ahead, Mark.
I was going to say the other thing that, you know, you said ads advertised, and I think that there's stuff that's not advertised that is amazing about testosterone. Testosterone is just a huge motivator. I can't understate that, you know, any further. I mean, testosterone is absolutely amazing. And so, you know, these TRT clinics, they're not going to like just get you to like be on some sort of like barely replacing. They're going to get you in a range that they feel is optimal, a range that they feel is optimal for you to be performing at a high level, really, you know. And so somebody that has testosterone of 300 and they're not feeling the same way as they've always felt, you know, having your testosterone levels raised, I think for a lot of men, they're thinking like, oh, maybe I'll be more muscular, or maybe it'll help me in the bedroom or something like that. And those things can happen. But I think the main thing that it does is it keeps you motivated. It really helps a lot with discipline. So that's something that I don't think really gets brought up that much.
Yeah. I'll just reiterate one of the things that you mentioned, because I think for me personally, this is the most important. You know, for a specific group of guys, TRT, they want to use TRT so that they can get bigger faster, and so that they have higher test. And, you know, if you get enough sleep, if you're taking care of those things, if you're taking care of your nutrition, all these things, you actually shift your negative lifestyle habits. So if you're someone who hasn't been getting sleep, if you're someone who drinks, if you're someone who smokes a lot of weed, if you have all these negative habits and then you have low testosterone, but you change those habits, you can get your testosterone to a normal and even to a high level. And there's even supplementation that can actually be pretty beneficial for a lot of guys in their testosterone. So it's one of those things where it's like, I personally think, and I'm not saying I'll never use TRT, but it's one of those things that I want to push it off for as long as possible. Number one, I hate needles, so I don't want to have to pin myself all the time for a certain level of testosterone. And I just don't want to have to need it exogenously. Personally, I don't want to have to need it. I'm not saying it's bad though, but I think like for most guys, you can do this you can probably do it on your own. Right. So
especially if you never tried. I mean, if you never tried or didn't have a strategy, there's some supplementation along with, you know, just over the counter supplementation, along with just treating yourself the right way, you know, getting in good amounts of exercise along with sleep and all these things. And then also just habits, right? Like, we're surrounded, you know, that we're unfortunately, you know, I think you guys are similar to myself where you have changed a lot of like your deodorants and your soaps and your toothpaste. And like, I'm not super crazy diligent. I didn't throw out like every single plastic thing. I didn't like check to see like, I didn't go completely nuts with everything, but I have made a concerted effort to change my pots and my pans and my cups and my, again, I didn't throw out everything. You can come to my house and you can see like I got a mix, you know, I got a mix of stuff. Some stuff's probably leaching off some chemicals and, you know, whatever, but made some changes even with my underwear. Utilized NADs, and I got rid of a lot of my other underwear that were, you know, made out of polyester materials. I mean, they're finding microplastics nowadays in testicles and in penises. It's like, how the fuck is all this shit getting there? And I'm not saying that I know for a fact it's coming from your underwear, but it's coming from somewhere. And so I think if you want to kind of leave no stone unturned and try to just do your best. And I don't think it's that big a deal to change out your underwear. Your underwear are probably like 400 years old anyway, and probably have some holes in them and stuff. And it'd probably be a good idea.
Access.
It'd probably be a good idea to. Well, the new ones can have holes in them too if you really want them.
Ventilation.
But I don't think it's that hard of a switch to just switch over to a company like NADS that uses cotton.
Yeah. All right, so we put that at S level effectiveness.
I would.
It's effective. People that use it, so many people use it. It's effective.
Yeah.
Dangers. What do you guys think? Those things, I think it should, at minimum, I think it should be at B. Because when people use TRT, some people don't just use the replacement dose. They go crazy with it. And when you take too much testosterone, like blood viscosity, is TRT something you can get gyno from?
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. So there's gyno. There's all this like acne stuff that can happen with the skin. There's a lot of things that can go wrong, especially when people start overdoing it.
Yeah. You also might have to consider like doing it forever, because you don't like take testosterone. Testosterone is not like a bridge. You don't just like take it and then have a couple healthy habits and then come off it and then your testosterone's fine. Like, it doesn't work that way. So that's something else to think about. It's like you might be on it for a long time, and I think that's I kind of view that as being a negative. Some people might just be like, oh, well, I'll just stay on it forever. And that's, whatever, that's up to you. But I do think it's like, it's something to think about, something to consider. I think it's a negative. I think it makes it more dangerous because you don't really know, what's it going to be like. You might be taking, for me personally, my view on all this is like, I would rather put my chips down right now and feel the best and do the best that I can right now and not worry too much about 20 years from now. But that's my own opinion of my own body, and you get to do and pick the same for yourself.
You also, though, like when you say that, someone can clip that and be like, see, he doesn't care about his future. But you do get your blood work done. Yeah. You do pay attention to these things. You do give blood. Like you do a bunch of things so that you can be here 20 or 30 years down the road. You're not just like, let's roll them dice. No, that's not what's going on. So let's just keep that in mind.
True.
I would put it at A. I wouldn't put it at B. I would put it at A, but I wouldn't put it at S. What do you guys think?
Yeah, if there was a B plus A minus.
Yeah, it's kind of the situation we had with like Kratom. We were like, it's not. It's right in between, and I would put it I would put it at A. It's not quite as dangerous though as like what do we have there? Anavar. Not as quite as dangerous as Anavar, but like it's.
But really too, if you're listening to your, if you're going through a TRT, you're going to someone like Merrick, you're going through an actual clinic, following their advice, it should be very safe. Yeah, it should be very safe. But if you go, off trail and you start sort of doing your own thing, that's where it can get a little weird. But like Merrick, I mean, they're looking at a lot of stuff when they look at your blood work, and they're identifying how they can help move this way, move this other way, and they're trying to diligently help you to avoid things like heart disease, things that could potentially disrupt your sleep, and a lot of other things like that. So I think if you are utilizing either very modest dosages, even if it is not necessarily with a company, or you are working closely with a doctor, I think that it can be very safe to do TRT.
And I think that's where the danger comes in, because you do feel so good. So 100's good, 200's better. 200 feels great, and then let's go 400. And then it's like, well, wait a second. That can, it's a slippery slope, as they say. So I think in that aspect, because it does work and feels so good, that it's pretty dangerous in that aspect. Yeah. All right, so last one. Pretty interesting.
Zyn Pouches.
I've never messed with it, but
I used it once. Mason Fowler came here.
I know tobacco has good nootropic-like properties.
Zyn Pouches are great for people that smoke.
That's you guys got to get addicted to these. These are great.
Have you been using Zyn Pouches? Is it Zyn Pouches?
Not a lot, but just a little bit here and there. And I like it. Yeah, it's a great addiction. Yeah.
So when you used it, what do you use it for? What have you used it to do? Just like chilling, or?
Yeah, I used it, first time I used it was just like at a kava bar, and then I kind of felt that, but I was also feeling the effects of the kava, so I didn't know.
I love kava.
But then I had it on a walk, and it felt good. It felt somewhere in between kratom and caffeine. It's kind of what it felt like.
Wow.
Yeah. It was a pretty nice spot to be in. But yeah, I got to get me some more of that stuff.
I'll actually give it a shot. Some people love using it for focus and stuff. It's one of those things
It's
that
nice.
like,
I don't think I'll be addicted to it. I feel like I could take it or leave it, but it felt fun to me. It felt good.
and if you're someone who smokes, it does great at apparently helping you get off of smoking. And we all know smoking don't fucking smoke.
Shitty.
Yeah. So
People still smoke, huh?
people still smoke.
That's crazy.
People still eat carbs.
What?
Yeah, I know.
Whoa.
Sons of bitches.
Starting a whole other
No
podcast,
way.
man. You're starting a whole other podcast.
Yeah.
All right. So I don't know how effective. If
I put it at an ARS
Okay.
because like when it like I've used nicotine gum before, and I felt like
That's right. Yeah, I forgot about that.
yeah. I didn't keep using it because I just felt like let me just stop this. But with that being said, it can definitely be effective for focus and for people that want to get off cigs. Super effective, which is like one of its intentions, right? So for its effectiveness, shit, I'd say high ARS.
What do you think, Mark?
What do you think?
Yeah, got it. All righty then. Is it dangerous though? What do we got on the interwebs? Does it say it's addicting?
Let's ask.
I do think that sometimes these things can. Maybe I'm thinking of something else. Maybe this doesn't do that, but doesn't like chew and all that stuff? Doesn't it? Can it be cancerous? Right?
Yeah, but that's the other shit, not tobacco.
Oh, okay.
The one that the guys, what is it? The chew and spit shit. What
It's
is
just literally
chewing
called
tobacco?
Chew tobacco. Yeah.
that? Is the nastiest shit, man. I knew guys.
All
who
the
used to-
baseball players, big old wad.
Yeah.
Shit's so nasty. That shit fucks your gums up too.
Everything.
Ah,
Like, puts holes in your face.
yeah. Apparently, you can get oral health problems from Zyns. Maybe some nicotine poisoning every now and then.
I'll give you some oral health problems. I meant through the Zyn pouches.
Yeah, for sure.
Hygiene. Oral.
I'd put it at like a B from what I'm seeing. And like Zyn doesn't seem to be, it's not like the other shit, but it's still something that people should be careful with. And I definitely wouldn't say it's as dangerous as so.
It kind of, it's a lot like this other stuff where it's like, if you just have it here and there and, you use it responsibly but like people just don't use stuff responsibly.
Zyn Pouches destroyed my life because of the Zyn Pouch.
Sitting there with their gums all bleeding and everything.
Oh, God.
Oh man, let's blame the Zyn Pouch.
Mm-hmm.
All right, we should take screenshots of this. Let us know what you think of our danger and effectiveness tier list. This was cool.
Danger.
Yeah,
That's fun. I like doing these tiers.
If you are considering or thinking about taking any of these things, just take it further. Like, don't just listen to what we're saying. Don't just listen to a couple clips. A lot of the stuff, most of the stuff we talked about today they're drugs. They're in a category. They're in that category for a reason. Almost everything we talked about can be addictive. I'm sure to some extent, almost everything we talked about can probably be almost like poisonous to the body. So like, just, be careful. Read up on information. Listen to people that you value that have good information. Listen to some other podcasts and like just do some digging, do some investigating.
yeah.
Strength is never weakness, weakness never strength. Catch you guys later. Bye.